6, 7, I have lost count.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Talladega Superspeedway, the great unknown of the playoffs, as we continue our hunt through the round of 8 with the championship looming in just 2 weeks here from the Friggy Diggy Racing League. As usual, I've got my friend and my co-host up in the booth here to help me call the action over the next 94 laps from tonight's race at Talladega. Good evening, Arie, and happy Wednesday.
Season, the last couple races here in the Friggy Diggy Racing League for the 2025 season. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good fun time. We've got 94 laps this evening and another spot up for grabs in the final 4 should one of the eligible drivers get a win tonight. Yes, we certainly do. Last week we saw Matt Semple punch his ticket to Phoenix to the Diamond in the Desert. In 2 weeks, next week we're going to go to the paperclip, the short track of Martinsville Speedway, as these drivers continue on. Drivers that are on the outside of the top 4, trying to make their way into the points after last week's race. Where were we? We were at Las Vegas. We got Roy Hill III, Gary Miller, Brennan Brody, all these drivers kind of down towards the bottom half of the round of 8 here. So only 4 will be advancing to Phoenix, and 1 spot is already claimed, so that leaves just 3 spots remaining. I think tonight probably could be a very big wild card, and for some of those drivers that we were just talking about, maybe seeing a wild card win tonight's race that's not already in the playoffs. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised to see an unexpected or unusual name up at the front come the checkered flag and parking that car in victory lane. I think there's a couple of drivers who, will be finding themselves towards the bottom on the outside looking into that championship form, maybe not in a great spot to point their way in. Names that come to mind for me are the likes of Gary Miller or maybe even Mike Schaefer. Mike Miller even. These are names that, we're probably going to see, further down in the running order, and a win here at Talladega, they're going to be golden. They're going to steal the spot from somebody else who is maybe having a better round of 8, a better playoff so far. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for one of those names to go up there and spoil the party. And, as a matter of fact, I believe it was the 29 car of Mike Schaefer that won the last time we were at a super speedway. It was at Daytona to be the race right before we began the playoffs. Mike Schaefer did take that 29 car out to victory lane. So is Mike Schaefer able to do it tonight, or will it be somebody that's already out? Maybe Jaden Wicks, maybe Paxton Frith, Chris Pugliese, or maybe Gary or Mike Miller. So we've got some questions to answer out here this evening, Arie. Setting the stage for tonight, we have 94 laps of racing. Our stages end at the end of lap number 25 and the end of lap number 50. And I'm kind of hearing from around town, the rumor around town is that fuel is anywhere from 22 to 24 laps, so that kind of puts them right on the money for at least the first stage. It certainly does, and if the stage 1 caution is brought out a little bit early due to incident, that's going to put us in the same boat for stage 2. I wouldn't be surprised to see some fuel saving throughout the first 2 stages of the race at a bare minimum. Those drivers who aren't leading the pack are maybe going to be keen on riding in line, getting pulled along by that draft and trying to save a little bit. It'll be interesting to see if we get, pack racing 2x2 all the way through in the first 2 stages, or if people will be concerned enough about fuel to avoid doing so. Well, we're currently following the 901 of Mackenzie Clayton out on track right now, coming through the big tri-oval. Everybody's always aware that the start-finish line all the way down here, Arie. You come out of turn number 4 at a track like Daytona or Atlanta Superspeed or Echo Park Speedway. You can kind of see the start-finish line. You kind of got an idea. When you come out of turn number 4 here, the race just begins off of turn number 4 for the checkered flag.
It really does, and it's one of the most interesting aspects on the NASCAR schedule, the fact that the start-finish line is kind of pushed back here at Talladega. And you know what, Tom? It might be crazy, but I'm waiting for the day that we put a start-finish line in the middle of a corner on an oval. That'll be the day that we really get crazy.
We got kind of close at Phoenix with the reconfiguration a couple of years ago, but not quite. But it is on a it is not on a straightaway there.
Yeah, I don't even know what you call it. They call it the dog leg, but I don't know. It's half corner, half straightaway. It's kind of two corners. I don't know. It feels weird. But either way, Phoenix is a great track. We got that in 2 weeks. We got Martinsville next week, Talladega this week. This really is a really, really fun way to end the season. And you know me, I'm not particularly partial to a playoff format for the championship, but I think this lineup of 3 tracks to round out a season is a really exciting way to do it.
Yes, it certainly is, and you come to the great unknown like we were talking about a little bit before, and it just opens up the door for opportunities. Will we see Logan Spencer get a win out here this evening and kind of play spoiler on the playoffs as Logan continues to try to find his way into the championship 4? But before we get there, we're going to throw a trackside, get some pre-race ceremonies underway, and we're going to be back for your full 5-minute qualifying. All right, back here from Talladega Superspeedway, the 2.66. Huge circuit on the NASCAR schedule. Drivers beginning their qualifying efforts out here right now. Aiden Shrine rolls off of pit road, one of the first cars to roll off of pit road. Have about 10 active cars on track right now, so following the 87 around here, we're probably going to see him take a wide entry down here into turn number 3, try to make this outlap as long as he possibly can. These cars, even though it's Talladega, Arie, it's still very momentum based on your qualifying efforts here.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It doesn't matter what car you come to these tracks in, whether it's this next-gen Cup Series car, whether it's the Xfinity Series or the truck even. It's all going to be momentum-based, and it's all going to be based on wheel input. We kind of covered this last night when we were racing in Echo Park down in Atlanta, but it's not really about, the gas versus brake and, off throttle time and all of that stuff that usually comes into play on ovals. Here, it's all about wheel input and keeping your momentum as high as you can. And, to a degree, oftentimes the good qualifying runs here can be chalked up to luck or just good parts underneath the car if we're talking, the real life equivalent. But there is a very specific, very particular skill set needed to be fast on a hot lap around a super speedway.
Aiden Shrine working his first lap of his qualifying efforts out here this evening. Kind of surprised to see Aiden down on the yellow line through his first lap. We'll see how that works out for him as he comes through, and he's about to put his first time on the board as we wait for everybody else to post their times at the start-finish line and see where the 87 winds up. At first glance, gonna be fastest on the board. 5, 6, 7 drivers have posted times out here right now. Aiden Shrine faster than Gary Miller, Mike Miller, Matt Semple and Logan Spencer, those drivers, round out the current top 7 as they run.
Everyone's times all filing on in. We've got a returning name this week that we haven't seen for a while, driving the 97, that progressive Toyota Camry, Dustin McMurray, who had a really good showing earlier in the season at Echo Park, and what I believe was his very first start here in the Freaky Racing League. So back to try and get some more good runs going here at Talladega Superspeedway this evening.
Currently just 2/100ths of a second over second place Jaden Wicks as the qualifying continues to work their way through. But you can see Dustin working his second lap right now and see if he's able to pick up. A lot of times drivers will pick up a considerable amount on their second lap. Chris Puglisi comes across the line to begin his second lap. Trying to see, Jaden Wicks just finishes his second lap.
Cross the line for Dustin. Let's see. He was top of the board. He's going to stay top of the board at the moment. That's looking pretty good. And I think this is kind of crazy, Tom, but I feel like everyone completed their laps at around the same exact time.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty close. Mike Schaefer still out here on track. He has completed both of his qualifying laps, but just running some additional laps. Maybe see a pit entry attempt on this next one.
Maybe not.
Perhaps not.
I think that is that's kind of caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie, Tom. We usually get a little varied in who goes out when for qualifying, but everyone went out at the exact same time this session.
They did. There is one car that did not take a qualifying attempt out here, at least so far, and that is Mackenzie Clayton in the 901 in that Toyota Camry for Mackenzie. So looks like Dustin is going to be leading us to the field out here this evening. We're going to wait just to get official scoring on that, but I do believe that's going to be the case. Got about 5 seconds remaining out here in our qualifying session, and Dustin McMurray in the 97 comes out to the Freaky Racing League and puts the field on notice and says, I am going to be leading the field to the green flag from Talladega Superspeedway out here this evening as we begin to prepare our race of 94 laps out here tonight, with stages at lap number 25 and 50. But let's run through your starting lineup out here this evening. Dustin McMurray, Jaden Wicks, that's going to be your front row as they come down for the first time. Aiden Shrine, Paxton Frith going to be starting in row number 2, and Gary Miller in the 38 starts 5th.
Starting in 6th, it's going to be Chris Puglisi, driver of the 42, ahead of Matt Semple, the one driver who has locked his way into the Final Four already, is starting P7. Mike Miller brings us in P8 alongside Logan Spencer in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be Brad Holmes, Mr. Double Double.
And on the outside, looking into the top 10, is Mike Schaefer. Last time we were at a drafting track, Mike Schaefer, we already called it. Mike Schaefer found his way to victory lane at Daytona. Keep an eye on that 29. And then the singular car that elected not to take a timeout here is Mackenzie Clayton in that 901.
All right, we got 12 drivers ready to hit the high banks at Talladega here. Qualifying's over. Everyone's getting lined up. I'm ready to see how this one plays out tonight. There's a lot to race for this field, and particularly for our playoff field. There's quite a big thing, quite a big prize. It's not just a race win, not just a checkered flag, but it's an opportunity to go have a shot at a championship. And when it's a winner-take-all, one race finale, anything is possible.
It certainly is, Arie. And again, our fuel run is anywhere between 22 to 24 laps. This track over 2.5 miles in length. Is it a lot to ask for to find out if maybe somebody can stretch it and score some very valuable stage points in this opening stage here?
I think it's possible. I think it's very possible that we see somebody get to the end of stage 1, secure those stage points without needing to come down on pit road. But I think the real question is, Tom, and something that might catch these drivers out, is they might make it to the end of the stage. Will they have enough fuel saved to then do the required pace laps before pit road opens, because that's an entirely other story in and of itself.
You know, everybody kind of seems to always forget about that additional lap that you need to go, that you're waiting for pit road 2 open. So we're going to find out. Short little first stage here. 25 laps is what these guys are racing for. Do the first batch of stage points as the field lines up behind the iRacing.com pace truck this evening here on a wonderful Wednesday evening from the Freaky Racing League. Again, the field being led to the green flag by Dustin McMurray and Jaden Wicks as the front row gets ready to roll out here tonight from Alabama.
Well, coming into this race, I'm kind of unsure of what to expect, though. Tom, I've got to say, I'm leaning, I think, a little calm, a little chilled out for the start of this race. I think maybe the overwhelming idea from these drivers is going to be just to try and survive long enough. I feel like we had a pretty hectic race the past couple of weeks, even, I would say, where the chaos has kind of been elevated. And while that is something that we've come to expect out of the Freaky Racing League, I think a lot of these drivers can sense that this is going to be a real opportunity for them, and they're not going to want to let it slip through their fingers too early in this race.
We're going to wait for the iRacing pace truck to make the left-hand turn down onto pit road as we get set to go racing out here this evening. Arie, we talk about the great unknowns of like the Charlotte Roval. We go to the challenges next week of Martinsville Speedway. We come here tonight to the only super speedway in the playoffs, and these drivers are getting ready to come up through the gearboxes, 5 gears strong. They're going to come all the way down here. We're going to have to wait a long time till we see the restart zone. But drivers got Barney the Flagman in their sights, and we are about ready to go racing this evening. And Barney is getting ready to send them on their way for the first time.
Green flag's out, loud pedals down, and here we go. Freaky Racing League, 3 races left on the season. Let's get it going into turn 1. Dustin McMurray in the 97 going to lead us away.
A little bit of an opening gap between first and second place. First place, Dustin McMurray in the 97 has opened up about a half a car length lead, but the battle is for second and on back. But you got to keep in mind that if you get a whole lot of daylight in between you and the car behind you, you're going to have cars coming with the run as we see the outside lane now of Jaden Wicks getting help from Paxton Frith in the 21.
Looks like that outside line's forming up pretty quickly right here. Most drivers on the bottom, but you've got to wonder, Tom, how many of those drivers are just kind of riding for now and not really worried about pushing that line to be the best. As you see Dustin actually jump out, does not want to be leading this pack. That's a very intentional move that we see out of the 97. So perhaps we see McMurray deciding maybe it's time to save some fuel, just want to get to the end of the stage without having to pit.
Yeah, I think that's probably more of what it is a fuel conservation strategy from the 97, as he's already back in 11th place. He's cycled his way back towards the back of the field. That's opened up the door for Aiden Shrine to lead 7 laps as Dustin started on the pole and is going to fall in line and pick up some draft from some friends back there.
See a couple cars getting a little wiggly back here. The 42 of Chris Pugliese, the 24 of Mike Miller. They're all getting it sorted out. I don't expect anyone to be rubbing fenders this early on in the race, but we've got a new name on the outside leading the way, and that's Gary Miller in the 38, bringing that bright blue and yellow Ford Mustang out front here at Talladega. Going to be leading as we finish lap 2.
Give lap number 2 to Mr. Gary Miller as we begin lap number 3 here down into turn number 1. Something about these next-gen cars here, Arie. They draft up really well. I was watching some of these cars in practice, and the closing rates on some of these cars, especially when you got 2 cars tucked up closing in on one, it gets very hairy as these drivers close up on one another, and in a lot of ways it's very easy to kind of give them a bump that's a little bit too much to handle.
It certainly is, as we're on board with Logan Spencer here, right in the middle of the hornet's nest, as I like to call it. And not only do you have the closing rates to deal with the bumps that you're giving and receiving, but you also have this monstrous machine in front of you blocking most of your vision. Not only do you have the car in front of you, but every one of these Cup Series cars has a huge spoiler on the rear that's just adding to how much your vision is limited. So you've got to balance all of these things, not least of which being the fact that you can't really see what's going on.
Yeah, and this is you're probably seeing more here in this point of view at this very moment in time than what Logan is seeing. In iRacing, when you're driving the car, it kind of sits you a little bit lower. You can make some adjustments to that, but this camera does not truly depict what is shown to the driver. You see a little bit more from here.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, and you can kind of get a different look right here from onboard Mike Miller in the 24 car, kind of riding on the bottom right here. You can see how squirrely all of these drivers are. If you've ever wondered, you know, how these big incidents happen at these super speedway tracks where you're drafting in this pack, it's as little as these little bobbles. You just bobble a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, and maybe you get a bad push at a bad time. It's all these tiny, minuscule movements, and eventually one of them goes wrong.
Another driver that has decided to opt to go to the back of the pack is Jaden Wicks in that number 9. Got up there, want to say he led a lap or two, and now has made his way back to 11th. So we may be seeing multiple cars thinking about fuel as this race goes along. But one car that is not is Paxton Frith. Paxton trying to take the race lead away from Gary Miller, and he's going to do it with the help of Brad Holmes right behind him, give a lap lead to the 21.
I would be surprised if we get, I wouldn't be surprised rather if we get to the end of this race and every single car has led at least one lap. At the rate we're going, they're all just kind of shuffling each other out, getting to the front, leading their lap, kind of cycling back in there and just kind of riding for now. And I think that's one of the benefits to having a field size like what we're working with tonight in the Freaky Racing League is there's a lot of mobility, a lot of movement. You don't have to go through 30 other cars to find where you want to be, but that also increases the volatility of just how, you know, uneasy and uncomfortable you might be when you're leading one of these lines, and you never know when you're going to get shuffled out.
That is true, and I mean, we've seen it here at the Freaky Racing League. We've seen it in other races that we did. We saw Jaden Wicks last night at Echo Park Speedway driving a truck go from leading the race to losing the draft in a lap and a half because he got shuffled out of line. So that's just how fast things happen.
Certainly is, and tonight looks like Paxton Frith back to the leading ways at a super speedway, looking pretty good with Brad Holmes hot on his tail. And I don't know, with how close Brad is running right now, I don't think that Brad's too keen on saving fuel either at the moment, but the way the entire field is just single filed out, never mind, lose that thought. I was gonna say I think everyone's ready to start saving some fuel, but not the newcomer number 901 Mackenzie Clayton or Mike Miller in the 24. They want to keep going forward.
Mike Miller jumps up to the outside lane to help that Toyota Camry running on the outside lane as they're gonna not be completely aligned on the exit of the corner there, but through the dog leg. Cars get a little bit light coming through here, especially as the tires, you don't really talk about handling issues here, but you do talk about the cars getting light. If you get a bad bump, we may see some cars, especially if we see green flag pit stops in this first stage, elect not to take tires until we get to the first stage yellow on lap 25. Don't be surprised to see some cars get loose there, even though handling is not a major concern here.
Yeah, getting loose is definitely something you got to be careful of, especially in the tri-oval at a place like Daytona Talladega when you might be sacrificing those tires on pit stops. I think it's a very normal and common strategy under green flag pit stops is to just forego those tires. It's not quite like it works over in Echo Park down at Atlanta where it's a little bit tighter and you might not be able to get away with it. But one thing I kind of want to look at right here is the mile an hour gauge in the gear gauge here for Brad Holmes, who's running in second. When that number is green, that indicates that we're on throttle, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to go back all the way back here to Mike Schaefer and see if Mike Schaefer back here, one of these cars saving fuel, ever completely lets out of the gas. I guess we can't really tell, even if he's got, you know, just 5-10% on throttle right there, but you can kind of see some of the differences more so in the gaps between these cars. This isn't drivers going all the way out. These gaps are here because each one of these drivers is saving a little bit more than the guy ahead of them. And if they wanted to, they could close this line up instantly. But right now, everyone's concern is just making it to 25 without needing a pit stop.
About to begin lap number 10 out here this evening as the field, mostly single file, but two cars have stepped out of line. That is Mackenzie Clayton And is it Mike Miller still behind Mackenzie back there? Yes, it is. So 2 cars trying to make the outside lane work, and then you have 10 other drivers single file on the inside lane. Brad Holmes having a quiet night so far, kind of running back behind the 21. I like kind of what Brad's doing. I kind of like what Gary Miller's doing. They're not pushing their cars too hard right now. They're putting themselves in a spot where they're not leading a line. They're not burning that extra fuel. They're not the first ones to hit the air. So you don't always have to go all the way to the back of the field to save some fuels. You hear Gary just on and off the throttle through the tri-oval here.
Yeah, this is a real good way to listen in on the throttle of the 38. He's not closing in. He's kind of keeping this gap of about a car length or a car and a half between himself and Brad Holmes ahead of him. And anytime he starts closing that in, he's just letting off the gas. Every time that 38 car gets closer to that 00, that's an opportunity to save fuel where he doesn't have to be in the gas as hard or maybe even at all. Because these guys aren't worried about the fact that the 901 or the 24 have just gone up there and taken the lead, because it allows each and every one of these drivers to save that much more fuel if they're that much further back in the pack. Now the 901 and the 24, they're going to be using more than anyone else in the pack.
The drivers that we see very aggressively saving fuel back there, Dustin McMurray and Jaden Wicks, still within the draft. And that's really kind of the big thing. As long as they stay within the draft, that's kind of all they have to do here through this opening stage. But I think if we're going to try to see some drivers stretch it, I think we're going to see like maybe Mike Schaefer. Mike Schaefer, a name that we've talked about a couple of times out here this evening, not so much for fuel saving, but Mike Schaefer started 11th on the board, gained 1 spot so far through this race. I think Mike is pretty comfortable and pretty content running back here in 10th right now. And I think these back 3 would be likely the cars that are attempting to save.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, and I think even by the time we get down to 5 laps to go in the stage or so, some of these drivers that have been towards the back this entire run, you know, your Logan Spencers, your Mike Schaefers, your Jaden Wickses, and so on, I think these drivers are going to have the most fuel saved and be in the best position to then make a run in the closing laps of the stage to try and go win the stage and get some points. They won't have to be saving as much to the line. They'll be able to kind of push all out with a lap or 2 to go.
Well, that time by, we officially complete more than halfway through stage number 1. Mackenzie Clayton leads the field of 12 drivers out here right now. Mike Miller in second.
Take a look at this, Tom.
Who is this?
This is our race leader, Mackenzie Clayton, who has put 2 seconds on the rest of the field because they're saving that much fuel behind Mike Miller.
No, something happened. Something had to have happened to have that much distance, no?
You would think so, but look at Jaden Wicks in the 9, just hitting the go pedal and going around the entire field on the outside. This is not too dissimilar from what we saw in the Daytona 500 a couple years back.
And Mackenzie Clayton right now, you just watch that gap growing to second place Gary Miller, 3.8, 3.9 seconds. It's going to be 4 seconds here in just a moment. I mean, he's probably going. Last time by for Mackenzie was a 53.94. 53.94. Second place was a 56. So we're talking almost 3 seconds a lap.
You can see the time intervals right there between first place Clayton and second place Miller. It went from 4/10 difference to 2/10 to 3/10 and then 1 second and 2 seconds, because all of these drivers realized that they were going to be way too close on their number. And the reason that the whole pack goes this slow is because it's dictated by the leader of the pack, that being Gary Miller in the 38. Gary Miller is leading this pack, which means he doesn't have a draft to pull him along. So he's running partial throttle, and all the guys behind him, they just want to stay in the draft. They're not concerned about how fast they're running or what their track position is. They just want to make sure they're in the draft. So everyone's going at the pace of the 38, except for the 901 of Mackenzie Clayton, who decided that he didn't want to do that, and he's just going to go full throttle on his own faster than the entire rest of the pack, saving fuel.
You got it. Like, I would love to be driving that 901 car right now and just have like the what in the world is going on behind me, like, you know, like, but it seems like a couple of cars have hit the loud pedal. Matt Semple and Logan Spencer, they seem to be They're going to be closing the gap here now. Now, the issue that this is going to cause for the 901 when they do get there, because they're now coming in a hurry, he needs to be careful not to lose the draft because of the speed difference they're going to have. It's almost as if he's a lap car going to have to latch onto the draft.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how that works and how that kind of turns around on you. The 901 goes from being, you know, the sudden hero who can just outrun the entire field on his own to all of a sudden being the sitting duck, and now he's got the field hard charging towards him. And if these drivers aren't saving fuel anymore and they decided it's go time, well, that 901 is going to be in a lot of danger, like you said, to maybe lose the draft. I do think it'll play in his benefit that we've kind of got two packs going right now. The back half are all spread out, still trying to manage their fuel, and he'll be able to tuck in somewhere. But look how quickly these drivers caught back up to the 901 when they decided to go.
That was a really weird looking scenario there, Arie, and we see the field coming around the 901 of Mackenzie Clayton right now as Mackenzie falls back to 6th place and may lose an additional spot or two to the pair of Millers right behind him there. But Matt Semple has taken the race lead with 9 laps to go on the stage.
That he has, and I'm pretty glad we witnessed that, because that's one of the most unusual situations I've ever seen in a drafting race here on the sim. So kudos to the Freaky Racing League for that one. That one was pretty crazy to follow along. And now we've got the field all put back together. But now, as we turn our attention to the end of stage 1 in 9 laps time, 8.5 laps even, we got to start wondering, Tom, which of these drivers are going to make it and which of them aren't, because we've upped the pace now, and we don't know if that means these drivers are good to go, or if maybe some of these drivers decided they weren't going to be able to do it, so they're just going to go get the track position anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about two very real situations there, right? There comes a point, I mean, this track is over 2.5 miles long. To save 1 lap here is huge. It would probably take you 3 or 4 laps to save 1 lap. They needed to save probably 2 or 3, so we're talking at minimum 12 or 13 laps throughout the opening stage here. But there comes a point where you say, I just know I'm not going to make it. I'm going to come down pit road. This track is big enough that you're not going to lose a lap doing so, at least for the initial pit stop. But we'll see in a couple of laps here.
We certainly will. We see a big gap right here between Logan Spencer, who we're on board with, running in 2nd place, and Aiden Shrine, who's running in 3rd, kind of leading that pack back there. This tells me that Aiden Shrine is in heavy fuel-saving mode right now, letting this gap get as big as it is. Going to start closing it in just a little bit with help from Double Brad Holmes. I love these views, these bumper views, Tom, as you've come to learn at this point, and those of you guys watching out at home. But the front bumper, rear bumper views, these are two of my favorite camera angles of any NASCAR race. I think it provides a really fun insight into what's going on.
And you can see the sparks flying right now from Brad Holmes as he follows Aiden Shrine around here. Aiden started 3rd on the board and currently runs 3rd as we have 6.5 laps to go in the stage out here tonight. But the top 2 drivers right now is the driver of the number 8 Chevy Camaro and the driver of the number 89 Chevy Camaro. That is Logan Spencer in 2nd place and Matt Semple leading the field. The Maple Missile brings us to the beginning of lap number 20.
Talking about Logan Spencer kind of brings me back to those drivers who are still in the playoffs and have an outside shot at making it into the Final Four. I don't think Logan Spencer's a name that you would consider a lock on paper to make it into the Final Four, but that's a name that you could absolutely see coming out here to Talladega and parking that 89 Chevy Camaro in victory lane, kind of sneaking his way in to give himself an opportunity. So we'll see what Logan Spencer can do this evening. He's got a good opportunity ahead of him, as it looks like Dustin McMurray's decided in the 97 that he's had enough of this fuel-saving train, and he's going to try and make it work around the outside like the 901 before him.
And don't forget, Dustin McMurray was the first car to go into heavy fuel-save mode at the end of, really, lap number 1. Dustin went from the pole to 12th, so...
We've got pit stops.
Pit stops happen, and Jaden Wicks and Paxton Frith making their way onto pit road here.
That they are, the number 9 and the number 21 solidly on to pit road. Nice and good, no incidents, no penalties. And we are at 5 to go in stage number 1. Matt Semple continues to lead the way at the moment, ahead of Logan Spencer and Aiden Shrine. Be curious to see if we get any more pit stops this time by. We got to keep in mind that the pit entry does close ahead of time, but for the stages, typically, I'm not sure if that's a rule set that we use in the Frigidaire Racing League. I'll assume it is, because it usually is the case, but we'll see. As Dustin McMurray, look at him go on the outside all alone.
All on his own, making it work and running that much faster than second place Logan Spencer and soon to be first place Matt Semple. But Dustin McMurray makes his way around. He's going to at least pull up to the side as we see more cars coming on pit road. That is Mike Miller and Mackenzie Clayton. Kenzie had a little bit of a moment getting there on pit road, but they all stay clean and green, and they're going to make their way down to their box for service.
Yeah, that was looking real sketchy for the 901. I'm amazed that we didn't see a black flag shoot out there for a speeding penalty, but kudos to the 901. Got that thing slowed down just in time, and that leaves us with 6 cars in this main pack. We got a couple of stragglers further back, Gary Miller, Mike Schaefer, and they're going to try and hold on to any sniff of draft they can, but with 4 laps to go in stage 1, coming around to 3, this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We saw the 97 shoot up there on the outside earlier. Now we see the 42 of Chris Pugliese, these drivers who are just hopping around in track position, and we see the 97 actually duck down on a pit road alongside Aiden Shrine.
Aiden Shrine also comes down on pit road. They're going to come into pit road side by side. So we've kind of seen these little 2-car packs coming down here on pit road. So currently, as it runs, the top 6 right now have yet to pit. Mike Schaefer and Gary Miller, excuse me, in the 38. Even though they're about 3.5 seconds back, they're still saving fuel. Have not yet pit for service.
That's right, and something also has been brought to my attention. Mackenzie Clayton in the 901 had a penalty, or currently does still have a penalty that he's going to need to come back down and serve, potentially speeding on exit. So the 901 running into issues here, about to go about to go 1 lap down right here to the leaders, I should say, of which all 4 stay out. These 2 back here also stay out in the 38 and the 29. So, oh, wait, Brad Holmes? I don't know if you call it that as well, Tom. It looked like Brad Holmes went into pit road, but I think he just had a little blip. That brings us to 2 laps to go in stage 1.
So we're assuming that pits are going to be closing here very shortly. Now, Mackenzie Clayton, what Mackenzie has going for him, he is going to remain to be the only car 1 lap down, but I do believe the penalty is a 40-second hold. If you come down there and you got to sit for 40 seconds, you're going to go a 2nd lap down. So even though Mackenzie is going to be in the free pass position, likely going to be multiple laps down by the time this is said and done, as he's been in his box now for 28, 29, 30 seconds and counting, and the field's coming around to put him a 2nd lap down.
Great point that you're making right there. It looks like all 6 of our drivers who have not pit are going to remain on track, and Chris Pugliese is now leading the way ahead of Brad Holmes and Matt Semple. White flag is out for stage number 1. Now, we got to remember, we got to bring this conversation back around to, you might have enough to get the stage points, but do you have enough to make it back to pit road? As I think that might be an issue that we incur with some of these drivers right here. Brad Holmes has to save enough that Matt Semple's going to go around him. Logan Spencer's going to go around him as well. Makes you wonder if Brad Holmes is saving that much, or if he's out of fuel, perhaps.
He may be sputtering at this point here, Arie. I mean, we'll see. It looks like maybe Matt Semple as well. These cars are actually going to come down pit road.
They're both coming down.
And I see the lights flashing red. It was hard to see, but the lights flashed red on pit entry. So those
the 2 leaders make contact. And Logan Spencer wrecking across the line may or may not have won stage 1. Chris Pugliese still up on track. Those 2 got together trying to side draft. I need a replay of that, but we got some damage on the 42 as well on that right front. Issues for Logan Spencer, who's got some damage coming to the stage end right there. Sorry to shout over you there, Tom, but wow, what a finish to stage 1.
Yeah, that was a crazy finish. We saw the closing distance between the 42 and the 89, and on board now, this is the 42. I am unsure if he is waiting for the pace car.
I wonder if he didn't get ahead of the pace car, cut the engine, I don't know. This looks like he's out.
Well, the field is still 15 seconds and closing back behind him. So, where is the pace? Is the pace car on track?
I tell you what, the whole field is going around. Oh, wow, that was sure what that was from Dustin.
Yeah, at this point, I think I fall into agreement with you. I do believe he is out, not just waiting on a pace car.
It's gonna give the lead to who else? One of the drivers who came down under green flag conditions, and I think this kind of seals the deal for stage 2, Tom. That these drivers are just gonna go all out, and if they got to pit, they got to pit, because I don't think this worked out very well.
Well, stage 2 is going to be a little bit shorter, even though it's 25 and 50. Logic would say it's 25 and 25, right? But they are running some additional caution laps right now. We are going to begin stage number 2, and we'll probably see about 23, 22 laps of green flag racing as opposed to 25 in stage 1.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up right there. Why don't we see if we can't see that battle coming to the finish line here for the end of stage 1. We see Logan Spencer going all out trying to catch up to Chris Pugliese. He's going to fake him out, dive down to the bottom right here, and what I thought was a really good move, but I think hitting the apron right here just kind of got that 89 a little squirrely. The 42's coming down to side draft and just clips him.
Yeah, I don't think the 89 hitting the apron had anything to do with it. I mean, if we take one more look at that and we watch the 42 and we kind of use the stationary objects on track, like the dashed lines coming through the tri-oval, I think it's pretty easy to see that the 42 comes considerably down, whereas I see Logan kind of holding his line coming through the tri-oval using the stationary objects like the dashed lines here. You'll see Logan take a look down to the inside and then follow the 42 down.
Yeah, certainly a good point right there. And then see the 89 get down, gets a good job trying to turn it away from the wall, gets the bulk of that impact on the left rear, which is significantly better than if he would have hit it with his front bumper. He is going to get a little touch right there to the front, but it looks like most of the damage on the 89 is just in the rear. And we do got to remember as well that these drivers do have a fast repair here in the Freaky Racing League that they can use whenever they deem necessary as well. Do we have another out of fuel situation with new race leader Mike Miller?
Possibly. Yeah, he is 100% sputtering here. You hear the engine cutting in and out. Well, I guess this is with that's with Jaden Wicks right there.
That's quite an interesting situation. So did Mike Miller did pit previously, so must not have taken enough fuel on that pit stop. Too little of a splash, I suppose.
This has been quite the storyline here, not just at the end of stage 1, but this caution then following it.
Yeah, certainly has been a number of drivers running out of fuel at the end of stage 1. This has put us in a position where half of the field is a lap down at the moment, Tom. The top 6 remain on the lead lap, but I am showing 7th Gary Miller, Brad Holmes, Logan Spencer, Matt Semple, Chris Pugliese.
Mackenzie Clayton down there.
Yeah, he's having issues as well at the moment.
Can we pull up the track map here, Arie, and kind of get a bigger picture here? As I think the field's starting to come together on the front stretch.
Yeah.
Get rid of those initials in there. There you go. All right, so the field's starting to come together. You see the pace car in that big blob down there going into turn 1. The 42 of Christopher Pugliese coming up behind. Jaden Wicks making his way as well. Mike Miller in the 24 working his way through 3 and 4 right now, but I think the field has finally found each other. One car still down on pit road is Mike Schaefer with showing a black flag at the moment.
I'm getting word from race control that there's gonna be some action taken to correct drivers incorrectly being off of the lead lap. So we might get an extended caution here as race control tries to figure everything out that's going on at the moment. Unsure how this is going to shake up the field, but I guess we'll see in time for the restart for stage 2.
Looks like Mike Schaefer has made his way off of pit road, but I do see Mike Schaefer going pretty slow down here on the apron.
Almost looked like a little bit of damage on the nose or on the splitter of that 29. I don't know if it was just the lighting. It might have been. But yeah,
he's slowing again.
That he is. Potential issues for the 29 of Mike Schaefer. Not entirely sure. Issues all over the track.
What this has done, as they run right now, pending any sort of corrections race control decides to put in, this has trapped 5 cars that are in the playoffs 1 lap down or more. You got Gary Miller a lap down, Mike Schaefer a lap down, Brad Holmes a lap down, Logan Spencer and Matt Semple, all playoff drivers that are a lap down. It also has Chris Pugliese a lap down as well, and Mackenzie Clayton multiple laps down, partly due to a green flag speeding penalty. So
that is correct.
If I'm Aiden Schreiner, if I'm Mike Miller, right, I'm saying this looks great. Let's go. You know, like.
Yeah, certainly. I think what we might be seeing right now, Tom, is that the action taken by the admins is to have a little bit of a delayed pit sequence for the race leaders that allows all of these drivers to take a wave around and get the field back on the lead lap. If I had to venture to guess, I think that's what we're seeing right here. Oh yeah, we're starting to see lap cars overtaking at the moment. I would venture to say that's what we're seeing.
So now, while this is all happening, laps are continuing to click off. So we are eating into stage number 2. So now, we said fuel would probably not be an issue for stage number 2. I think at this point we can cross it off the list of things to worry about.
Yep, I don't think fuel is going to be a concern here in stage 2, and hopefully not being a lap down either.
Cars that are at full speed right now, so cars that are making their way around the pace car right now. Paxton Firth, Gary Miller, Brad Holmes, Logan Spencer, Matt Semple, Christopher Pugliese, Mike Schaefer, and Mackenzie Clayton. Those are the cars that look like they're going race speed right now. So they're making their way around. You're looking at the 3 or 4 drivers right here in the camera frame, still under pacing conditions, but kind of an unusual scenario here on a Wednesday night in the Frigadiga Racing League.
Quite unusual. I think this race has shown us just about every unusual occurrence that we could come to think of up to this point, but it's been an interesting one. Gotta give them that, as everyone's just now getting caught up to the field, and we'll probably see the lights go out on that pace truck this time by for good for the start of stage 2, of which we'll be racing to the end of lap 50. We are working lap 31 at the moment. Restart on lap 32 with how it's looking. Have a quick 18 or so laps.
Again, want to thank everybody for hanging out with us on a Wednesday evening. If you're enjoying tonight's show, make sure you click that subscribe button. Get notified every single time we come live. We're going to be here every Wednesday night and bringing you the championship calls in just 2 weeks from Phoenix Raceway, and then yeah, I mean, next week we've got Martinsville. We go from the biggest track to the smallest track, Arie. That's a huge difference that these cars got to go through, and then Phoenix. Phoenix is a mile track, so kind of an in-between between those two.
Certainly right, and I think it's just a really fun variety in terms of how these 3 tracks race. You go from drafting on the high banks of Talladega to the beaten and banging short track of Martinsville, where you probably do the most beaten and banging of any short track on the schedule. Follow that up with Phoenix and all of the unique challenges that it presents, and I think you've got a really fun combo here. And even having Vegas a week before this one, where you kind of get that traditional mile-and-a-half style racing in there. It's a great way to end the season, and I'll be looking forward to Martinsville next week. That's the one I've had circled for weeks now in terms of, what might be the most interesting race to witness and to see unfold. But speaking of things unfolding, the lights are out on the pace truck. We're going to go green this time. The field has gotten everything all squared away and figured out, it looks like. It's going to be Mike Miller in the 24 alongside Jaden Wicks in the 9. They're going to be on the front row leading us to green for stage number 2.
It is still showing 7 through 12, 1 lap or more down. I wonder if that will update when we get to the start-finish line. Probably not, because it is live timing. But we're about to go back green flag racing out here to begin stage number 2. Mike Miller and Jaden Wicks brings us to the restart zone to begin stage number 2.
Up through the gears we go. Mike Miller in that green and black 24 going to be leading the way for the field. Down into turn 1, we'll see if these 2 lanes stay as they are. That top side is pretty hooked up at the moment, all committed. It's going to bring Aiden Shrine in on the bottom, as well as Logan Spencer.
I tell you what, Ari, we're going to have 2 separate races going on right now. We're going to have the battle for the race lead between Mike Miller and Jaden Wicks. But the battle that I think is going to be more entertaining to watch is the battle for the free pass award between Brad Holmes, Matt Semple, Logan Spencer, Mike Schaefer, and Christopher Pugliese. Let's not forget about that second battle that's going to be happening at the same time.
Certainly got to keep our eyes on it, and what we might even see happen is if those lap down cars can work together well enough, they can get them all ahead of the race leader, and then if a caution comes out, everyone gets back on the lead lap. So something to keep in mind as well if these guys decide to work together. Aiden Shrine throws a real late block on Brad Holmes to cover off that middle line. Going to lead Jaden Wicks out to hang on the high side. Jaden's just going to get out of the way, tuck back in the line at the back, but we can see just how aggressive these pushes are from Brad Holmes and even Matt Semple on his bumper as well. These drivers who are particularly a lap down, the 0, the 8, the 29, they are trying to go somewhere quick.
Brad Holmes and Matt Semple, they're going to pass the on-track leader, the overall race leader, and now become the tail end of the field. If a caution comes out right at this very moment, both Brad Holmes and Matt Semple would get their laps back, and Logan Spencer would be in position to take the free pass. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Logan up there with them, put some buffer in between them and the on-track leader. That really just benefits the 8 and the 0. The more cars that you can put between you and the race leader, Mike Miller, as we see Mike Miller now losing multiple spots on track, but not for position.
I tell you what. Yeah, that's all 5 lap down cars now leading this pack. So now they're all back on the lead lap. If a caution were to come out, everyone cycles around back on the lead lap. Paxton Frith in the 21 is our race leader as we run in that green and white 21.
If I'm Paxton Frith or if I'm Mike Miller right now, somebody get behind me and push me. I don't want these 5 lap down. I want to keep as many cars as I can a lap down, because after this next caution here in 15 laps, there's not another guaranteed caution. It is Talladega, but there's not another guaranteed caution out here tonight after stage 2.
It's a good point that you bring up right there. If I'm a driver currently on the lead lap, I want to keep as many drivers a lap down as possible. I think Aiden Shrine has got the right idea right here, pushing Mike Miller in the 24 on the outside. If I were the 97, the 38, maybe some of these other drivers, I might jump up there as well. Make this a battle of the lead lap cars on the outside and the lap down cars on the inside, and see how many you can keep a lap down.
And now you can see the outside lane starting to move with Aiden Shrine pushing the actual race leader of Mike Miller. So pretty much lead lap cars are on the outside lane, with the exception of Chris. Where's Pugliese? No, pretty much lead lap cars are on the outside lane. Lap down cars are on the inside lane. And I think everybody's kind of taken to what you were saying here. They're trying to keep this inside lane a lap or more down.
They certainly are in almost contact between Mike Miller, Aiden Shrine. It looks like Mike Miller's going to dive down to the inside now. This is interesting, because if that outside line of the lead lap cars break up, and get down on that inside line, sure, Mike Miller can cover off that bottom line, but it might fracture up this kind of battle between the lead lap and the lap down cars. And I don't know if I want to get all these drivers mixed up and intermingled again. I kind of liked what I had, because all you need is the lead car on the outside to be ahead of any of these drivers, and that keeps them a lap down. Oh, contact! The race leader goes around off of the front bumper of Brad Holmes. Mike Miller trying to save it. Gets it corrected, but finally spins it around. There's no cars in the vicinity, so we will stay under green, but that's going to shake it up.
That shakes it up. Mike Miller goes for a long slide, did not hit anything. But some damaged tires for the number 24. Now new race leader Aiden Shrine leads Dustin McMurray. They are running second and third on track behind Brad Holmes right now. Brad Holmes tail end of the lead lap, with Matt Semple currently in the free pass position.
This is definitely shaken up how this race was running. We're now we got quite an intermingling of lap down versus lead lap cars on that bottom line. It'll be curious to I'll be curious to see rather if Aiden Shrine in that 87 will be content pushing Brad Holmes right here, or if he feels the need to try and jump ahead of him, because that's the difference between Brad Holmes being on the lead lap and Brad Holmes and Matt Semple being on the lead lap.
This time by, we begin lap number 39, 14 of 25 in this stage, so 11 laps remain in the stage. Out here in the Frigadigi Racing League, Brad Holmes leads the field on the tail end of the lead lap. Aiden Shrine looking to see if we see any lead lap cars make their way up to the outside lane, as now we see Matt Semple, a lap down car, jump up to the outside lane. I like this move for Matt Semple. If he can have some help behind him, this gives him the opportunity to pass the leaders on the outside.
He has the help of the other 3 lap down vehicles. Remember, the 5 lap down cars are Brad Holmes leading the pack, and then these 4 on the outside, the 89, the 29, and the 42, they're going to have help from the 901 back there. But this is kind of shaping up yet again to be a battle of the lead lap versus the lap down, as we get a blink from the 97, and that almost goes poorly. Everyone keeps it all clean and green for the moment, but Dustin McMurray going to try and take advantage of this situation, jump ahead of this line, and try to get himself up into the effective race lead.
So that does 2 things for Dustin, right? It allows him to try to make the pass for the race lead, and it also blocks off the momentum of the lap down cars, because as long as the leader is in front of them, only one of them will be in position to get their lap back.
That's certainly right. They do got to be careful with those momentary blinks that we're seeing out of the 97, and I think Dustin's also got to be careful that he doesn't get shuffled out of line, because he's got to keep in mind that the 8 car on his bumper is going to be pretty relentless in taking a gap if it's there, shooting to the outside if he wants to. Like we see right here, you got to be very careful, because the 97 doesn't have any friends right now. They want to get ahead of the 97 and the other lead lap cars, because they desperately need to fight for the lead lap.
So, Arie, it puts Matt Semple, it puts Logan Spencer, it puts Mike Schaefer in a precarious situation out here, right? You're a lap down. You're fighting for the potential to go to a championship race. What is fair, what is foul, and how much these lap down cars use over these next 10 laps on the stage?
I think as long as we keep it clean and green, it's all fair, with the exception maybe of what happened between the 0-0 and the 24 right there. Bad push through the corner, but I think as long as we're clean and green, it's good. I think you're gonna see some aggressive slicing and dicing. You're gonna see gaps being filled, and I think it's gonna be a step below coming to the finish of the race as a whole. But the intensity is still gonna be there, and I can't fault any of these drivers for trying to make it work.
Mike Miller, the driver that we saw go around probably 4 or 5 laps ago, is about 35 seconds back. He's only about 1 straightaway in front of these cars. So Mike Miller, they will catch him probably in the next 2 or 3 laps, and that will add another vehicle to the conversation of cars that are a lap down. And you got to think, going from the race lead to being in danger of a lap down, when they get there, he's probably not going to be overwhelmingly happy about it.
Here we go on the outside yet again. Matt Semple in the 8 is going to try and lead the charge for the lap down cars. Has the help of the 89 of Logan Spencer. The 29 and the 42 a little further back, going to try and close that gap. And now we're going to have 4 cars on the outside, all 1 lap down, trying to get their lap back. Brad Holmes might fancy jumping in front of that line. He doesn't. He's going to stay in front of the lead lap cars, and that puts the first 2 cars in either lane, the control cars, if you will, both lap down cars, and that's going to keep any of those lead lap cars from making sure that they're all a lap down.
Well, Aiden Shrine is the race leader. There's a whole lot of movement going around, but Aiden Shrine, his second car on the inside lane, is the race leader in that 87 white and purple and pink Chevy Camaro. But that inside lane,
They're broken up quite a bit. They're actually going to all fall back right here at the moment. And it looks like Dustin McMurray in the 97 is going to be the new race leader. Just clears in front of the 29. Don't know how he had that room to make that work right there. But the 97 in the race lead at the moment. That puts the only driver... I want to say the only driver who's behind... Oh, there's 2. It's Mike Schaefer and the 00 Brad Holmes. Those are the 2 lap down drivers who...
I tell you what,
are still caught.
They are. They're making sure that we're paying attention out here this evening. That is.
I tell you what. I haven't had to think this hard during a broadcast in maybe ever, but keeping track of all of this has been crazy. As we've got, in the meantime, at the line, it's going to be 6 to go in stage number 2. So the pay window's open, and it's go time. If you want to get back on the lead lap, or if you're somebody who wants to keep drivers lap down, you got to start thinking about what your move is and getting it set up, or taking care of it now.
If I'm Gary Miller, leans off of the 97 just a little bit. That's going to put Dustin McMurray in a spot where he has to fall down, pick up a little bit of a draft from the 87. This is the battle for the race lead, even though it's 5th or 6th in line on track. This is the battle for the race lead between the 87 and the 97. As now Paxton Frith joins the conversation in 2nd place.
Need to have a talk with the track owner here at Talladega and limit how many RVs are back there ruining our camera shots. But either way, it's the 87 of Aiden Shrine in the lead ahead of Paxton Frith. The first 5 cars leading this pack are all on the tail end of the lead lap. The race leader is the 87 of Aiden Shrine. If it were to finish as it runs at the moment, all 5 of those drivers ahead would circle back around, be on the lead lap just fine. They've all been fighting for their lives, trying to get back up onto the lead lap, led by Matt Semple in the 8. And we're going to see as the stage gets ready to wind down, it's going to be 4 to go at the line. We'll see if these guys get broken up, or if these tail end of the lead lap cars can get their laps back, because it looks like there's a little bit of a shuffling going on right here.
Mike Miller did just go a lap down. He is going to remain in front of the race. Excuse me. He did not just go a lap down. He is the tail end of the lead lap. Field did catch him, but he remains on the lead lap in front of the 21. So Mike Miller had an earlier incident about 10 laps ago, still on the lead lap, but in the danger zone of possibly losing a lap.
Certainly is. He's going to join that bunch of cars trying to stay on the lead lap, and it looks like Brad Holmes in the 00 is the car defending for the lives of each and every one of those drivers trying to stay on the lead lap, trying to be the blocking car for that group. Mike Miller, the 24, is going to get shuffled out. And now Paxton Frith, race leader at the moment in that 21, is going to be looking for potentially an opportunity to get around Brad, or maybe settling on just staying ahead of those behind him to win the stage right here. We'll see as he gets up on the rear bumper of that 00 and tries to push him ahead, but to no avail. Here comes the 38 of Gary Miller on the high side with Sun in tow.
Keep an eye on that 87 and the 38. The 38 has shown that he's wanted to jump up, and the 87 and the 97, we know that those cars certainly want to move forward. So with 3 laps to go in the stage now, can the outside lane mount a charge in the closing 7.5 miles of this stage number 2 to protect the running positions of the lead lap vehicles?
Going to be tight. 2 to go in stage number 2 at the line right here. We see Dustin McMurray in that bright blue 97 Toyota Camry on the outside, trying to lead a charge. Gonna need some help. He's finally got it from the 38 of Gary Miller right there. Can those two, maybe with Mike Miller in tow, get a line going on the outside, a line that's good enough to contend? We're going to see. At the moment, advantage Paxton Frith for the stage, but that outside line is trying to cook something up.
They are trying to cook something up. There might be a little bit of damage on the front of that 21. Last couple of times he's come around, thought I saw a little bit of damage right up in the center, right up underneath the blue oval on the Ford logo of the 21. Yeah, you see the splitter kicked up there in the middle a little bit.
Certainly the case for the 21 of Paxton Frith. That might have him reconsidering the idea of leading a line at the moment. It's go time now. 1 lap to go in stage number 2. And here's the move from Aiden Shrine jumping ahead of Dustin McMurray. And that's going to be a tandem trying to get around the outside right here. Just don't need a bad push at a bad time. You can see the 901 on the inside just taking that run right there. Aiden Shrine's actually going to cover him off with a late block right there. Aiden's got some momentum. He's going to take it to the outside one more time. Brad Holmes moves up to block the run of Aiden Shrine. Trying to play blocker for the lap down cars is the 00. It was a late move, almost caused a wreck right there. And Paxton Frith back to the inside is going to get to the inside of Brad Holmes, try and make something happen. Everyone's getting all shaken up, and at the line, Paxton Frith is going to win stage number 2. Who stays a lap down and who clears around is going to be the question as it all gets sorted out.
Half the field waiting for the iRacing.com pace car, half the field driving around to catch up to the back of the field. But the field being led right now by Paxton Frith in the 21, and Gary Miller in second place in that number 38 car. Aiden Shrine comes across the stage in third, followed by Dustin McMurray and Matt Semple in fifth. So lead lap cars coming down onto pit road for service this time.
Well, now we're done with the first 2 stages and getting ready to look forward to a longer stage 3 right here. But man, I feel like we've had enough action to fill about 2 entire full length races at this point, Tom.
Absolutely, and that's kind of just the way things happen. Gary Miller, last pit on lap number 29, elects to stay out here.
I tell you what, Tom.
Oh, are we talking waiver rounds?
We might be, but I saw some penalties from the race leaders coming down on pit road. They might have had to come down due to fuel issues, despite pit road being closed. And what we might be seeing out of Gary Miller right here is just trying to limp around with barely any fuel left in the tank. Could very well be the case, as the pace car is now entering what looks to be turn 1. Let's go ahead and see if we can't pull up that track map. You see Gary Miller entering turn 3 right now. The bulk of the field right here just now exiting turn 2.
I tell you what, Arie, while these drivers are restacking and repacking and trying to press the reset button at the end of stage number 2, I think you and I both need a breather after that second stage. Let's step aside for just a minute or two, and we're going to be back, bring you all the highlights and storylines from Talladega.
I don't know what's going on with scoring.
And back here at Talladega, we come back live from the playoff race out here tonight. Gary Miller leads the race right now over second place, Dustin McMurray.
Apparently, but we got Gary Miller at the tail end of this pack. Based on timing and scoring, Gary Miller would be about to put everyone a lap down. I'm not sure how that's cycled out, but we'll see if it all fixes itself once we get going green with the 38 catching up to the back of the field right there. I want to say, Tom, that we should be looking at the 97 being the effective race leader, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But Gary, if that is the case, they're going to need to extend this by a lap and bring Gary down on pit road, or at least to a stop, because once Gary hits the loud pedal, any car that he passes, he's going to put a lap down.
Well, I'll tell you what, listening to race comms, just heard a driver ask Gary if he took a shortcut or something. And I think that about sums up the situation. I got a good kick out of that one coming over race comms, but we'll see how this gets figured out. Lights are still out on that pace truck, so I think we're left to assume that it's all going to work itself out, potentially.
Well, we're going to find out together here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network. Again, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on a Wednesday evening as we follow these drivers of the Frigadigi Racing League through their season all the way to the championship. In 2 weeks' time, next week we got the paperclip, the short track of Martinsville that Arie and I, you and I will be present for, and then finally we got Phoenix. What do you think about Martinsville? Kind of both as a broadcaster perspective and also as a driver perspective. Which one do you like more?
Well, I'll tell you what. I haven't gone to broadcast a race in Martinsville yet, though I'm quite looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. As a driver, Martinsville is one of the tracks that induces the most anxiety for me with how much beating and banging there is, how crazy the restarts can be, how aggressive drivers can be at a track like Martinsville, how close quarters it is. You just never know what's going to happen. You know, you could be the fastest car on track and you could have a million things go wrong because of how, up close and personal everything is at Martinsville. So I think as a broadcaster, it's going to be incredible. And as a driver, it can be in its good points, one of the best tracks on the schedule. And in its more rough points, it can be one of the most stressful for sure.
Yeah, it really can. And I really do enjoy driving Martinsville. When you can have a good race there, because Martinsville does have 2 usable lines. There's a whole group of people in the NASCAR community that says there's only one, but there is 2 usable lines there. So we'll see next week if drivers decide to use that outside lane and possibly make some passes. But now Gary Miller has stayed on track as he should have. He's closed the gap to the iRacing.com pace truck, but what is happening now currently on the other side of the track is everybody that was in front of him is now driving around the iRacing.com pace truck, and they're going to catch up to the number 38. I would expect, well, maybe not. I would imagine they can all get there before they get to the start-finish line.
If they're doing their job correctly, I think they can get there in time. Whether or not they'll extend it another lap regardless, I guess we'll find out, Tom, but it'd be quite the situation if we didn't extend it and they weren't all caught up and we had some differing speeds as we closed in here. But we're about to find out, because there goes the pace truck, and it looks like we're going green. No, we're not. There it is. Race control has called the extension, so the pace truck's going to have to come all the way back out. These drivers are going to maintain pace speed at the moment until everyone can get caught up. One more caution lap around.
Field lines up behind the iRacing.com pace truck as everybody's getting restacked and repacked down here. Only our second caution of the evening out here, Arie. Both of our cautions to kind of regroup and recap the race so far have been for stages. Have seen a couple of contact incidents, but no contact yellows.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that we haven't seen a contact yellow at this point. We have seen some close calls, some incidents on track that very well could have resulted in a yellow, but so far so good. And this puts us in a position where we're going to have about 40 laps to the end of the race, give or take, and no more stages in the way. It's all the way there. These drivers certainly can't make it on fuel without another pit stop, so it'll be interesting to see how hard everyone pushes, and if we are going to get that big one, when is it going to come?
Looks like the field of 12 is restacked and repacked for real this time, and we are getting set to go racing once again from Talladega Superspeedway. Gary Miller, Dustin McMurray, those drivers are going to be the leaders coming to the beginning of stage number 3.
Long wait to the restart zone. Green flag is finally out, and we are back on the loud pedal across the line. Gary Miller and Dustin McMurray going to be leading us back to green. We've got Matt Semple into the picture now on the lead lap, able to slice and dice and mix it up with these race leaders as we have 38 laps to go in this race.
Gary Miller protects the inside lane over Matt Semple's second car on the inside lane. Mike Schaefer, we were talking about Schaefer earlier tonight. Last time we were at a drafting track, Mike Schaefer put that 29 in victory lane. Do not count out the 29 until he crosses the start-finish line out here tonight. But as this is happening, Dustin McMurray and Aiden Shrine, they've opened up a pretty decent lead over second, third, and fourth place.
They certainly have. They've been taking the opportunity to tandem their way ahead of the pack while everyone else tries to figure out what they want to do and where they want to go. I wonder if we're not seeing a little bit of fuel saving already from some of these drivers back there, and that's allowing some of this this breakup that we're seeing in the pack.
Well, all right, so let's do math live on air. That never goes bad. These drivers last pitted anywhere from lap 49 to 51 to end the stage. They have about, we'll call it 23 laps on fuel pretty easily. So that's going to bring them to about, what, 73, 74? And then that puts them right on the, that puts them right on the bubble to make the final stage. So very well could be.
Could be. I would be surprised. I mean, we saw how much they were struggling when they had to save an additional couple of laps, but as it runs at the moment, they should have an additional couple of laps if they were to go this first run all the way out on gas. So I'd be surprised if there's a lot of fuel saving right here, but you never know what could be going on. It could also just be a matter of certain drivers wanting to line themselves up with certain other drivers that they're comfortable drafting with, and regardless of what the situation is, we're all single file on the bottom line as Dustin McMurray in the 97 leads, Aiden Shrine in the 87, and the rest all closing on in.
Our field of playoff drivers currently sits 2nd through 8th on the board, being led by Aiden Shrine, being trailed by Matt Semple. Those are the playoff drivers as they run right now. Dustin McMurray, not a playoff contender out here this evening, but all these drivers 2nd through 8th on the board know what they have to race for Martinsville, know what they have to race for Phoenix, as we see Mike Schaefer, the first one to jump up on the outside lane. 4 cars up on the outside lane now, trying to make their way moving forward.
The 29, the 00, they're going to get help from the 89 and the 8. And all of a sudden, most of the field is on the outside line, but the 29 cannot hang on to the pushes from the 00. Logan's got to jump out of line. Matt Semple's got to jump out of line. And Brad Holmes is still getting that 29 out of shape. He's going to send the 29 into the wall. I don't know how many hits it takes before you got the guy a break. But 29 of Mike Schaefer gets put into the wall, unfortunately. With that one, we'll see if he loses the draft or if he can hold on right there. But regardless, everyone else is going to keep it clean and green, keep it going, and find their way back into line. Everyone except for that 901 newcomer of Mackenzie Clayton, who is at this point racing to be the lucky dog driver at the moment.
That was a pretty big hit there for Schaefer there, Arie. Can we take a look at the right side, if able, of the 29 next time he comes around down here? That was a pretty heavy hit with the right front to the wall. It looks like he's holding the draft here, but I got to imagine there's some sort of damage up on the right side of that car.
I would tend to think so as well. We're going to try and get an angle here as these drivers make their way back onto the front straightaway. Not enough damage for him to lose the draft. It looks like a lot of surface damage, a lot of scrapes going on right there. Looks like the lighting just got a little weird on that car, but as we circle around right here, it seems okay, actually. It almost, Tom, looks like he just pressed the fix button at speed in the pack, because now I don't even see the scrapes.
Well, Mike Schaefer gets away with a what could have been a very difficult situation to come out of. You see a little bit of damage there up on the right front fender, possibly, as Mike Schaefer's on a mission right now.
He certainly is, and now we can see a little bit more of those scrapes. But if I'm Brad Holmes, I might try to remember that move. And here we go again. Brad Holmes sending another car into or out of control, I should say, the 901 of Mackenzie Clayton right there. If I'm Brad Holmes, two things. Number one, gotta push a little more careful, and number two, I think the 29 is gonna remember that bad push from earlier. So I just gotta keep that in mind and know that that might be one less friend I have as we come to the closing bits of this race tonight.
Well, now you probably have two less, because you just had more than incidental contact with the 901 that was running up in front of you. So lap cars can very much play a role in which line moves at the end of the race. So we want to stay on good graces, especially with the championship in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. You do not need to be making enemies this late into the season when you are a championship contender. You never know when somebody wants to get you back, and it might just happen at the worst time. We'll see as we go throughout the rest of the race. I think Brad might have gotten the idea at this point that his bumps are maybe a little too much, and he's going to try and ease off just a little bit. But speaking of some others, Brad Holmes' teammate Matt Semple in that 8 championship rival is leading this pack on the outside, trying to get a run going. But that inside line, made up of Dustin McMurray, Aiden Shrine, Mike Miller, they are just a very formidable trio on that bottom line. They have not allowed really anyone to get up there even with them. Mackenzie
Clayton has issues on the entry of turn number 3. Mackenzie, I don't know if he had issues, got tight, or just said, you know, you guys go ahead, I'm a lap down. I am just going to kind of hang out back here, as we now have 30 laps to go as we cross the start-finish line this time by. But the outside lane being led by Gary Miller, and now Mike Schaefer has made his way up, as he's going to get pushed out of line by Matt Semple. No, hold the phone. They pushed him up out of line to follow him to lane 3 and make the third line move.
That was the intent, but they're not able to make anything happen. And now Gary Miller and this entire top side are all going to find their way further back into the pack right here, as Brad Holmes is going to send it 3 wide. And Tom, when you get 3 wide in situations like this, you're just a parachute to the drivers ahead. They're just going to be able to pull away. You got to be careful about how and when you're going 3 wide, and that's really only a phenomenon that we see with the next gen Cup car here that we're racing with, how draggy these cars are. Once you get 3 wide, you know, any of the pack that's only 2x2, they're going to have a huge advantage through the air. They're going to be slicing through so much better, and that's oftentimes how you see one pack turn into 2. So very, very careful when it comes to 3 wide racing in the next gen car is something that you've got to keep in mind in a big way.
Yeah, you can. Mackenzie Clayton having more issues on the exit of turn number 2 there, behind Jaden Wicks, is now in lane 3, as Brad Holmes going to fall in line behind the 9 of Jaden Wicks. But yeah, to kind of close that loop there, or you can pack some air up on the quarter panels, and what it does is it, instead of the air flowing nicely over just one singular car, the air now has to go over all these additional curves and all these additional fenders and scrapes and bumps on the other car, and that's going to slow the car on the inside or the outside lane down, depending on which car you're trying to make a pass on. And it really kind of just slows down both lanes unless you have some significant help pushing you past the car.
Certainly the case is we're still kind of slicing a dice and a little bit. These cars are squirrely. That's Jaden Wicks being pushed by Brad Holmes. Jaden Wicks is fighting for the lucky dog position. That's the 9 car racing the 901 car. Both of those drivers looking to be the first one lap down as we run. If a caution came out, Jaden Wicks would get that lucky dog. And looks to get his way all the way to the front. If Jaden Wicks can lead this pack, that would put both of those cars on the lead lap should a caution come out, as it would give the 901 the lucky dog. We'll see, though, as the high line, just as quickly as it had formed and gotten up there, looked like it started to dissipate. Now Chris Pugliese and the 42 is going to make a move for the first time to the outside.
Chris Pugliese, one of the non-playoff contenders out here. Got to give a little bit of credit to the 42. The 42 came into the playoffs as the only non-playoff contender, kind of on track 5 or 6 or 7 weeks ago. But Chris has been out here every single week, plugging along, chugging along, trying to get some finishes and racing for wins every single week here on the Wednesday series. So tip of the hat. Sometimes it's easy for drivers when they're not in a contention for a championship to kind of hang it up for the season and say, hey, I'll see you in February. But that has not been the case for the 42. So good going by the 42.
Certainly has been. He showed up to every one of these playoff races for the most part. So gotta love it when you see that out of a driver, and I'm excited to see what next season has in tow for Chris Pugliese. As we see the 901 of Mackenzie Clayton now entering the picture. Of course, the lap down car now putting himself in position to be the lucky dog receiver should a yellow come out. But we're still getting 3 wide, Tom, just about once every lap on average. These drivers at the back just can't quite seem to figure it out. They don't seem to have anything for this trio up front leading this bottom line as effectively as they are.
While all that's happening back there, you've got a solid top 3, top 4 running their own race right now. Dustin Curry, currently the race leader, followed by Aiden Shrine in 2nd place. Paxton Fritz started 4th on the board out here tonight, currently runs in a podium spot as he crosses the line in position number 3. Matt Semple in 4th, and Logan Spencer the top 5 as they run across the line.
25 laps to go in this race. That's effectively the entire distance of stage 1 remaining in this race at this point. Every driver still needs to make one more pit stop before we get to the end right here. And Matt Semple gonna be the lead driver to make a move onto the outside. This is the first time that we've seen the 8 try and make this outside run to the front for most of this run right here. And you can see just how much these drivers believe in the speed in that 8 car. They know Matt Semple might be the championship favorite. When you see a driver like that decide that he's going to go out there and lead a line in the draft, you can't be surprised when so many drivers are willing to go up there and say, hey, that's the championship favorite leading that line right there. I want to go where he's going.
In one way, yes, but in the other way, you know, I mean, Matt won last week at Las Vegas and has already made his way and secured his reservation for Phoenix in the Final 4. I think it would be a little bit different if Matt didn't get that reservation to Phoenix last week with the win at Vegas, because in one way, yes, you're following the drivers you trust, but in another way, that's the championship favorite. I'm not doing anything to help him.
That's a fair point, Tom, though I think to counter your counter, if you will, we're building a kitchen at this rate. Matt Semple already locked himself into the Final 4, so even if I help him get up there, I mean, there's no way to really help or hurt him at this point until you get to Phoenix. He's kind of already locked himself in and safe to go. So I think on the contrary to that, if he hadn't locked himself in, I would be hesitant to work with him. But since there's nothing I can do at this point to help or harm his run to the championship any more than on any other given week, then I might follow him. But regardless, that brings us back to what's going on up front. It's Jaden Wicks in the 9, looking to the outside, trying to lead it, trying to battle to be that lucky dog holder. We've now seen the 9 and the 901 trade that position a couple times now. Advantage Jaden Wicks, as we saw a little bobble from Mike Schaefer back there, all clean and green at the moment. But all of a sudden, Matt Semple has found himself at the back of this pack, Tom.
Yeah, Matt Semple now currently runs back in 10th place, 1.3 seconds off the race lead. A little bit of separation in front of Brad Holmes. He's got Logan Spencer about half a second in front of him. I think with 2 cars here, they don't have to worry about losing the draft, especially with how much these cars up here are moving around. But now we've got an outside lane moving. I think Paxton Frith is trying to say, hey, I want the race lead here.
Certainly. Look at the overspeed that these two are going to get right here. Brad Holmes doesn't actually take the run to pull up to that outside line, but you could see just how quickly the 00 and the 8 were catching up to the field. A big accordion on the inside. That's a huge checkup right there as much of the high side merges into the bottom and everyone keeps it going.
And those are the kind of checkups that make you lose the draft, Arie.
They certainly are, and I think what we just saw right there was the fact that we've got a new race leader. It's Paxton Frith in the 21, jumped out from third in line with the help of Jaden Wick's lap down car. Now leads the inside line ahead of Dustin McMurray, Aiden Shrine. And now that leaves the Millers on the outside, son leading father, Mike leading Gary, as they are all alone, looking for any other help, but they're holding on pretty decently at the moment. As we make our way down the back straightaway, Tom, we're getting into our pit window at this point with 21 laps to go. Now it's time to start thinking about when these pit stops are going to happen.
Drivers last came down on pit road for the majority of the field on lap number 51. Now, they did run some additional caution laps to conclude stage number 2, so we probably have another lap or 2 or maybe 3 before we see the bulk of the field come down. So they're currently working on 24 laps on fuel right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see the majority of the field come down the next lap or 2.
I would tend to agree. We watched the 901 get onto pit road. He locked up the tires, and unfortunately, Mackenzie Clayton has another speeding penalty from pit road entry right there. And I think over race chatter, I'm hearing that there's going to be some more pit stops this time around. We'll see how many of these race leaders decide to pull on down. Will it be all of them, or will there be a small group who elects to stay out a little further?
Last time for competitive service, assuming this race runs green. Drivers coming down onto pit road this time. Jaden Wicks comes down. Paxton Frith, your race leader, comes down. Dustin McMurray, they come down. Aiden Shrine and Mike Miller. All these drivers come down. They're going to have to get single file and get this squared away before they get to their pit boxes.
This is just about the entire field all on pit road now at the moment. Every single car on track outside of the 901 who pit a lap earlier and got that speeding penalty, all going to make their way on. This is effectively an under yellow caution, Tom.
Paxton Frith lost multiple spots on pit road as he had to kind of roll out of the throttle to let the 9 come along. And then Dustin, I think it was Dustin, said, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and take that spot. But Paxton Frith comes on as the race leader, and he's going to come off. He's still down there in service. Tires are, he's down, but down and away loses multiple spots in track position on pit road.
That he does. Paxton Frith, Brad Holmes going to be the last two off of pit road on that sequence. And at the moment, Jaden Wicks has done enough to get himself back on the lead lap ahead of race leader Aiden Shrine in the 87, who is going to be joined by Mike Miller in the 24. They might be far enough ahead that the 97 of Dustin McMurray, they are far enough ahead. I would be surprised if Dustin could catch up to the back of these guys.
Top 2 right now, Aiden Shrine and Mike Miller. As they run, they have about a 3-second gap over second and third place. Dustin McMurray and Gary Miller, those are the drivers that you were just talking about. Chris Pugliese in 5th is about 6.5 seconds and falling back off of the current race leader. So kind of these little micro packs here, Arie, and that kind of eliminates the, it doesn't completely eliminate it, right? But it eliminates the likelihood of a caution to come out over these next 18 laps.
It certainly does, and we've got the track map up now to kind of see where these mini packs are at the moment. You can see the 87 on the backstretch on the top of that track map, leading that first group. We've got the 97 leading that second group a little further back, the 42 leading that third group, which has a bulk of the drivers back there by the looks of it, and then you've got the 21 and the 00. About a straightaway behind. That is the difference in one green flag pit stop. Remember how every driver on track was all in the same pack, and they all came down at the same time. So there's no difference.
Black flag for Mike Schaefer here for some reason. The 29 showing a penalty.
He is indeed showing a penalty. Not sure what happened with the 29. I'll wait to see if we get anything over race chatter for the 29 of Mike Schaefer, but
It had to either
situation.
be speeding off a pit road or what iRacing deems to be an unsafe pit exit. If you get the right side tires up above the yellow line through the apron, the yellow line that these cars are using right here, that goes all the way around the track, if you put the right side tires over it, iRacing will call it an unsafe pit exit, and you will have to come down. Not sure what the penalty is for that, though I've had my fair share of them in my days.
That's a good point that you're making right there, Tom. We'll keep tabs on that. We'll see if Mike Schaefer elects to come down on pit road to serve that penalty or not. And I would imagine he would have to at this rate, but we'll keep an eye on it as we watch this pack of four. Oh, Mike Miller turned around by Clayton. Second place runner Mike Miller turned into the wall by a lap down car in that lead pack. And that has got to sting.
All right, taking another look at it here. Taking a look at
we can find Mike Miller.
There he is. Mike Miller already got the tires smoking here.
Let's see. This might be a little too far back at the moment.
All right, here we go. So coming through the tri-oval, behind the race leader of Aiden Shrine, Mike Miller in that green and black Oakley Ford Mustang has the lap vehicle of Mackenzie Clayton right behind him. Is there contact between those two drivers? I don't know. Well,
I think it comes right here. I think it's a right hook.
Yeah, I thought it was a left. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there was contact with the left front of the 901 and the right rear of the 24, and that's kind of how the dog leg kind of narrows up through the tri-oval. You go from 3 lanes exit to 4 to 4 lanes in the tri-oval, back to 3 lanes at the start-finish line.
Yeah, it's a really weird part of the track and a difficult challenge as well. But I think when you're single file like that and you're in a packet, especially when you're the 901 or even the 9, who were kind of a lap down cars in that situation with the 2 race leaders, I think you just got to be a little more careful than that. There's no need to be pushing that hard coming through the tri-oval in a situation like that. You've only got 4 cars, single file on the bottom. Just a little sub up from the 901 right there in his first start here in Talladega, and I'm sure the 24 will be able to recover from that and still have a chance this evening. We do have a fast repair on hand for these drivers. May have already taken it earlier in this race, maybe not, but the damage doesn't look too bad regardless. I think we got a little bit on that left rear, a little bit of scraping right there, but it looks like most of the damage is fixed regardless.
Difficult night so far for Mike Miller in that 24. Remember, he was also involved in another incident with another lap vehicle back in stage 2 when we had that whole hubble bubble happening with the lap down cars behind the race leaders. Mike Miller was the race leader at the time and went around. The field caught him, and he stayed on the lead lap to begin stage number 3, and he kind of presses the reset button here as we're going to see a restart with about 15 laps to go.
15 laps to go, and we're seeing a split strategy. Aiden Shrine, Chris Pugliese, Paxton Firth, Brad Holmes going to be the drivers who stay out on track. Everyone else on the lead lap, they're down on pit road at the moment as we catch a glimpse of Dustin McMurray sliding the pit box just a little bit. But it's McMurray, Semple, Gary Miller, Spencer, Mike Miller, Mike Schaefer, all down on pit road to go ahead and get some tires for this final run to the finish. All drivers who I'm sure did not take tires under green, and as such going to give themselves the best possible handling for the run to the finish. And oh, by the way, Tom, we still haven't seen the big one happen yet.
Do you have to speak it into existence? But
I think I do. It's the Friggity Racing League where everything is off the wall, so we might as well.
Seeing these cars come down, that tells me that they want to set themselves up for the possibility of an overtime finish out here tonight. Drivers do have, I guess the field has 3 attempts at an overtime finish. If we do get a caution, the race will be extended up to 3 times for the overtime possibility of tonight. So while I don't think that they needed it for tires or for fuel at the very moment, I still think the race leaders are more than likely fine, especially with these cautions. If we get a late race yellow that pushes us into overtime, the first car that has the additional fuel is Matt Semple.
The good thing to note as well, the fueling up now, so you don't have to if we get overtime. I think if you're a driver like Aiden Shrine in the race lead right now, kind of led that pack for a little bit, so he's also burned up a little more fuel as well. He might not be sitting pretty for any overtime finishes, probably just fueled enough under green to make it to the line, especially with how fast he got through that green flag pit stop. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I think Aiden Shrine is in a really good position right now, Tom. The 87, one of those drivers who, you know, we were talking about in the round of 12, just needed to get through the round of 12 because the round of 8 was looking pretty good for him. He got through with a win in the Charlotte Roval when he was down on points and needed that win. He did it. Now he's in the round of 8. He's got a good shot. Whether or not he wins tonight, I think he's had a fantastic showing here in Talladega to get himself some good points on the board. Looking forward to Phoenix, but got to make it through Martinsville next week. And if Aiden Shrine can hold on and win in Talladega tonight, he's not going to have to worry about Martinsville.
Well, we're going to find out who makes their way out to Phoenix out here tonight. Does another driver lock them in? Does Matt Semple go 2 for 2 in the round of 8? Or do we make it fun and make a non-playoff driver get the win out here this evening? From the Alabama 250 from Talladega Superspeedway, out here from Talladega, Alabama, up here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network, it's about time to find out how this shakes out through tonight's race.
Two drivers who are not currently in the playoffs in the first 2 rows at the moment. Chris Pugliese, who didn't make the playoffs at all this season, up there in the I Heart Boobies car, trying to make a good run to the line. We've got Paxton Frith in the 21, second car on the inside line, who was eliminated from the playoffs in the previous round. Paxton Frith looking to get up there and have a shock victory as well. 2 drivers to keep an eye on, 2 names who could very well go up there and spoil the party, but just as equally as those chances are, Aiden Shrine, Brad Holmes, 2 names up towards the front who are still competing for a championship, 2 names who want to lock themselves into that Final 4.
Who do you like here, Arie, with probably 15 laps to go? Who has been the most consistent, and who do you think has played the smartest race out here tonight? Who's your pick to go to victory lane out here tonight?
Well, if I'm being honest, Tom, I really like where the 87 is sitting at the moment. And as I say that, I realize that I pick Aiden Shrine a lot when it comes to the Frigidaire Racing League, but I just like his style. I like his style, and I like the show he's put on tonight. He's just been quiet, consistent, clean, done what he's need to do, and now finds himself leading the race as we get ready to restart with a short little run to the finish here.
Well, I'm gonna give you 2 here. I think we're gonna see one of the Millers out there. I think maybe Mike Miller got a story to tell after having a couple of incidents throughout the race out here tonight. Keep an eye on that 24 car. He's not done yet.
I like it. Down into turn 1 we go. Aiden Shrine leading the way in that 87 Chevy Camaro. 12 laps remain in tonight's event. Chris Pugliese leading that outside line. Going to try and get a push from Brad Holmes, but gets shuffled 3 wide. And now that might hurt all of these drivers 4th on back. If they start pulling each other further back, there are at least 2 cars in each of these lines right now. That 3rd line is going backwards quick. Chris Pugliese, Mike Schaefer, all the way to the back of the pack is Mike Miller. Now your pick, Tom, jumps out to the outside line.
Mike Miller gets a big hit from the 0-0. Brad Holmes coming out of turn number 4, and Brad Holmes is trying to set sail on that 24 machine as they come through the tri-oval. This time we're going to see 11 laps to go from Talladega Superspeedway, and these drivers trying to make a second lane work here. I don't think the outside lane is formed up as much as it needs to be to make it run, though.
It certainly isn't. They're going to need a little bit more going on that outside line. I think they just need some more consistent pushes, some more consistent bumper-to-bumper drafting, and I feel like that's been the problem that we've seen for much of the evening here with that outside line trying to make it work. I think they can make it work in little spurts with little slingshots, but when you're trying to get that line working a little more long-term, They just need a little more. They just need a little something extra that they haven't been able to figure out as Paxton Frith looks to the outside for the race lead. He's going to pull Matt Semple in the 8 car with him, and maybe the rest of that outside line as well. They're going to leave Aiden Shrine down on the bottom, sitting duck, as these two now out front by at least 4 or 5 car lengths.
The Ford Mustang, driven by Paxton Frith, goes to the race lead. They're going to open up a 5, 6, 7, maybe an 8-car length difference between the second pack being led by Aiden Shrine. Aiden just said, what just happened? I just went from leading the race now to third and having to chase these drivers down. But don't look now. Dustin McMurray running that outside lane, the 0-0 and the 97. I think if you're going to get 2 cars working together, it's going to be those 2 cars right there. And they get hooked up, the rest of the field might be in trouble.
They very well may be, but the 97 gets shuffled out of line from the 0-0. They're now 3 wide again towards the back of the pack, and that's just going to slow them up a little bit more. Mike Miller jumps out to the outside line, trying to make something work at the line. It's going to be 9 laps to go for Paxton Frith in the 21.
I like where Paxton is right now. Now, I think there's always the debate of whether or not you want to be leading on the last lap. But I like where the 21 is right now, because if we get a caution, that gives the control of the restart to the 21 of Paxton Frith. That's an advantage. Even here at a super speedway, you can coordinate with the car behind you. And, you know, you may not want to be leading on the last lap, but I do like having control of the restarts, and maybe that's what Paxton's thinking about right now. But Jaden Wicks is thinking, I want to go to the front, as Jaden now jumps up to the outside lane. But hold on, here comes Aiden Shrine in the 87, and they may go 3 wide here. Brad Holmes takes a hard hit down onto the inside line, takes a slide through pit road, and that 0-0 heavily damaged at the exit of pit road. Looks like he is he is not in his box yet.
Big issues for the 0-0. Brad Holmes finally gets that car going again. He's going to need a caution if he wants to get back up into the hunt this evening. The rest of the pack keeps it clean and green, with Paxton Frith, Matt Semple leading the way on that bottom line. The outside line now led by Jaden Wicks, who spent most of this race 1 lap down or more. Now finally in contention when it matters the most. Do we see that 9 Chevy Camaro make his way to the point?
Ford versus Chevy at the start-finish line. Paxton Frith on the inside line. Jaden Wicks up on the outside lane. 2 drivers that have previously been eliminated from the playoffs, but they say, I want to come out here and win tonight's race. Highest running playoff contender right now is Logan Spencer. Logan knows if he wins this race out here tonight, he punches his ticket to Phoenix, and he doesn't have to worry about Martinsville next week, as the field is moving around a whole lot down the backstretch.
They certainly are. Chris Pugliese, Mike Miller almost get together as they're trying to push that outside line forward. We see Aiden Shrine right in the middle of the Hornets' nest on the outside, trying to find the right place to go at the right time, decides to cut down to the inside line. And now Jaden Wicks leads this race ahead of Paxton Frith and Logan Spencer. But these drivers further back, they are not done slicing and dicing yet.
The top line has fallen apart. Everybody's kind of made their way back down onto the inside lane. About 8 cars single file down onto the inside lane. You got to go all the way back to Mike Schaefer. Back in 7th, the first car up on the outside. Does the 97 of Dustin McMurray go with him? Does Chris Pugliese in the 42 go with him? Or is it another car behind him or even in front of him that jump up as multiple cars out of lineup on the backstretch?
A little bit of a bobble. This might cause some drivers to lose the draft, especially if the 97 and the 24 stay side by side. Looks like they're going to keep enough momentum going that it's going to be fine. The 97 is going to recover from nearly being spun out on the inside wall to now leading the outside line, trying to make a run, but with no help until the 29 can get there.
This time by, they're going to see high 5 over the speedway. 5 laps remaining from Talladega. Field being led by league owner Jaden Wicks. Paxton Frith in second. Logan Spencer, again, the highest running playoff contender. I think Logan sees that outside lane coming. Look for that 89 to jump up in front of this outside lane once they do get there. I think he's going to be the first one to jump up. But no, the 87 is.
87 is an the 9 jumps up for a minute, almost gets turned by Paxton Frith, who has to let off of the gas just a little bit. Gray heads up driving from the 21, but Jaden's got to be careful because he's not going to be afforded that many opportunities going forward as we look to 4 laps to go at the line. That outside line still can't get anything going, but they're trying with the 87 and the 8. That's Shrine and Semple leading that outside line, 2 of the fastest drivers here in the Figure Racing League, trying to make a run up towards the front, but I think they're going to need a little more help to get there.
With 4 laps remaining, the give and take turns into a grab and go. And the driver who's grabbing a wheel and going right now is Logan Spencer, as he's going to try to take a look on Jaden Wicks. Jaden Wicks jumps up to the outside lane, 3 wide for second place, 2 wide for the race lead. Paxton Frith falls into the daylight opening down on the inside lane, and he's got help from Mr. Gary Miller right behind him.
3 wide down the back stretch and into turn 3. They're beating and banging. They're rubbing fenders. And are they going to get it figured how they do, but not without contact? And now we're back to 2x2. Jaden Wicks trying to control both lanes. Aiden Shrine on the outside now. Going to pull that side draft, keep that 9 car close. He's going to wait for help in the form of anybody else. But Mike Miller gets into the 97, and we're wrecking further back. Chris Pugliese, Matt Semple, the 901 of Mackenzie Clayton. Multiple drivers involved.
Oh, what? Oh. I almost saw Brad almost get coming off a pit road, almost get collected in that, but multiple cars here, as this is now going to push us, Arie, into our first overtime. And let's not forget, a couple of drivers came down on pit road, and they're good on fuel, but taking a look at the incident that brought out this most recent yellow here.
Let's see, heading into the tri-oval, Mike Miller decides to shoot it 3 wide, just as Dustin McMurray's going to close that gap a little bit. They door bang, and the 24 is just going to get ping-ponged off of a couple of cars right there. Matt Semple checks up and gets spun by the 29, so he's separately going around. They're going to collect the 901. The 42 of Chris Pugliese, nowhere to go on the outside. Just completely totaled into the wall right there for the 42. Wrong place, wrong time, which is so often the case at these drafting tracks, and the 4 of these guys just gonna spin down to the inside altogether, can't get away from one another, and just like that, we have our big one. Though, with the lack of incidents tonight, Tom, can't help but wonder if most of those drivers still had their fast repair and are going to be right back in the picture.
A couple of drivers with a meatball flag showing that damage repair is required. Mike Miller, Dustin McMurray, Mike Schaefer, and Christopher Pugliese. So gonna see all these drivers come down on pit road. Now, Jaden Wicks last pit on lap number 80. So he's good on fuel. He's good for at least 1 or 2, possibly 3 overtimes. Aiden Shrine last pitted on lap number 75. With fuel anywhere between 22 to 24 laps, caution laps probably make him good for 1. How do you feel about 2?
2 is iffy. That's where I'm uncertain, and 3 is absolute no man's land. If I'm the 87 of Aiden Shrine in the position that he's in, it's a difficult spot because you get this first one and you really don't want to pit. You really, really don't want to pit because this could be all it takes. You're starting on the front row. That's what you need. But at the same time, it's a guessing game, because if you end up with 3 green-white checkers, you're going to have to pit when it matters even more. There's just no telling if you're going to get that. So it's a really tough choice, because if you get 3, in hindsight, you should have pit right here. But right now, for all you know, this could be the restart to the end, and you don't want to give up this track position. It's a nearly impossible position to be in, and it's a position that a lot of drivers are, going to find themselves in at one point or another if they haven't already. And for Aiden Shrine, he's just got to hope that it's going to work out his way tonight.
Taking a look at our running order here, Arie. Lights are still on the pace trucks, so as this caution continues on, what do you say you want to grab a name out of a hat and see how their race is going and what their plan is for the next 3 or 4 laps?
Absolutely. Why don't you bring up let's see here. Why don't we see about bringing up Paxton Frith? We got driver of the 21 running in 3rd at the moment, a driver who's been up towards the front for much of this evening. Paxton, you find yourself in an interesting position here, coming to the first attempt at a green-white checkered. You're 3rd. That puts you 2nd car on the inside, which is a pretty good spot to be in. How are you feeling coming to this restart?
I felt pretty good so far today, but you never know with these green-white checkers. Just hoping I got some good guys around me. Got Jaden in front of me, and looks like I might have Logan behind me, so we'll see what we can do. Hopefully stay out of a mess.
Absolutely. Do you anticipate some more green-white checkers, or do you think the field will be able to get this one done first try?
Everybody's been doing a really good job so far tonight, so I think we'll make this one. We should be fine.
All right, that's what you like to hear. Well, we'll send you back. Good luck through the rest of the race tonight, Paxton. And with that, the lights are out on the pace truck, and we're doubling up once again, Tom.
Waiting for the field to line up behind the iRacing.com pace truck. Out here tonight with just, is it 3 races to go? Talladega, Martinsville, Phoenix? Well, we'll call it 3. These drivers being led right now by Jaden Wicks elects to take the inside lane for this restart. He's going to have the 21 up on the inside lane. Let's take a look here, Arie. Can we go on a rear shot of the 9 car? Does the 21 still have that damage? No, it looks like he got it fixed on one of the cautions.
He certainly did. And that means that these drivers are all looking real good to go for the rest of this race. In fact, some of those drivers who were involved in that incident, Mike Miller's got a brand new car by the looks of it. Matt Semple was not able to get that fixed, nor was Mike Miller or Chris Pugliese. So the only beneficiary of the fast repair under that wreck just now was the 29, maybe the 901 as well, of Mackenzie Clayton, who is unfortunately 2 laps down as we run. Lead lap drivers consist of the top 8 on track at the moment, 7 of which have clean enough race cars to compete for the win right here, and the 8th being Matt Semple, who we just saw a glimpse of limping around on track, just trying to stay in the lead lap and pick up what positions he can here. But this pace truck's getting ready to pull off, and it's going to be Jaden Wicks, Aiden Shrine on the front row.
Pace car down and out of the way for what may be the final time out here tonight from the Talladega 250. Out here this evening, field being led back to the green flag underneath the guidance of Jaden Wicks. Aiden Shrine up on the outside lane. Hands out the windows. Everybody says, go, go, go. Come and push me now. We're coming to the restart with 2 laps remaining.
Going to be interesting to see what happens with this outside line right here. They're finally getting the run. Can Aiden Shrine get to the quarter panel of Jaden Wicks? He can't, to pull him back, and that's going to be huge. That means the inside line's got the advantage. They're not being pulled back by anyone. That outside line needs all the help they can get, all the momentum that they can try and make happen, but it might not work until somebody pulls in front of Aiden Shrine. Who's going to be the one to do it? We're going to get 2, 3 drivers doing it. Paxton Frith to the outside line with Logan Spencer and Brad Holmes, who gets tagged by Aiden Shrine, and around the 0-0 goes, collecting the 901 and the 38 as well.
Oh, and Gary Miller hard into the wall a second time. And this now brings into the question of fuel for these drivers. So Paxton Frith was one of the drivers that did not pit a second time, but taking a look at this most recent incident that brought out the most recent yellow flag that we're under right now, Brad Holmes and Aiden Shrine going to be contact between the 87 and 00 down here in turn 3, and a couple of cars collecting collateral damage.
Yeah, it looks like those two get together. Matt Semple, is going to get a hard hit. Gary Miller takes an incredible hit right there. The 901 as well takes a big hit into the outside wall, and it looked like Gary Miller had some issues after. It looks like the suspension is broken on that right front, and he just can't get it off of the wall. He's going to slam it a couple more times right there. So gotta hope for Gary Miller's sake that he's still got that fast repair to potentially use here, but some significant damage, potentially the worst of the bunch from that incident right there.
So now, Arie, we were talking about drivers being good on one green white checkered. We were talking about drivers perhaps being concerned about 2 drivers that did not come down to top off of fuel. Paxton Frith last came down on lap number 75.
Aiden Shrine last came down on lap number 75. Driver with the most fuel in the tank though right now is the 29 of Mike Schaefer, who last pitted on lap number 92. So a little bit of concerns for the 21 Ford Mustang and the 87 of Aiden Shrine in that Camaro.
Certainly the case. We'll see who elects to stay out and who comes down on this caution right here. It looks like most of the race leaders are going to stay out. Those with damage are going to bring their vehicles down for some service, as you would expect from a little further back. And now this makes me wonder, Tom. I want to go on board with Paxton Frith, who we spoke to under the last yellow. Just want to listen, see if Paxton's saving any fuel, turning the engine off at all. And it doesn't sound like he is.
Let's take a look at Aiden Shrine. Let's take a look at Aiden Shrine and see if Aiden is. Maybe they know more than you and I do up here, but they last pitted 25 laps ago.
It could just be the number of caution laps that we've seen. Could very well have been enough for these guys to save the fuel that they needed. But so far, it looks like that it's not too much of a concern for these guys.
Let's take a look at Gary, because Gary is off a pit road. Is that car fixed up?
Brand new.
Is it? Yeah, okay.
Brand new, yeah. Gary Miller going to be back in the conversation. In it to win it. In that brand new 38. Using that fast repair right there. So gives us 7 vehicles on the lead lap with clean enough cars to go up there and get the job done.
As we're underneath our 5th caution of tonight, let's grab another name out of a hat. This time, let's talk to Mr. Schaefer, the driver of the number 29. Last time we saw the 29 on a drafting track at Daytona, we saw Mike Schaefer in victory lane. Mike, one of the remaining playoff drivers out here tonight. A win gets you into Phoenix. What's these next 3 or 4 laps look like for you?
Just probably push guys ahead of me and see how things shake out coming out of probably 2 down the back stretch and what kind of run we can get out of 4.
So now you're going to be restarting on the outside lane here, as I believe we're coming to the 1 to go here. Any one of these drivers up in front of you that you feel most comfortable working with over these next 2 laps, or is it just whoever winds up in front of you is who you're pushing?
Whoever's in front, it doesn't matter who. Move somebody out of the way if I have to get this win.
That's what I like to hear. You got a championship on the line. Good luck to you the rest of the race, and maybe we get to chat with you at the end of this one.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. Well, there is Mr. Schaefer in the 29, and called the shots. Said whoever's there is who I'm working with, and whoever's there may be the one who gets the chrome horn.
Looks like we got a penalty for Aiden Shrine in the 87 for this last caution. Going to receive the EOL end of the line for bringing that one out. So if Aiden Shrine's going to get the job done tonight, he's probably going to need another caution. He's going to need things to fall just the right way. We'll see what happens for the driver of the 87, who's had an otherwise phenomenal night so far. Back up front, in control of this race, it's Paxton Frith in the 21, that Ford Mustang green and white on the inside. And on the outside, leading the charge, it's going to be that matte black number 9, Jaden Wicks, who's going to try and make that outside line work. Where would you rather be right now, Tom? Would you rather be Paxton Frith, or would you rather be Jaden Wicks?
I mean, I'd like to be Paxton because I get to control the restart. I would like to be Jaden because then I get to kind of determine the run that I get on him. Paxton still can control it if he does a little bit of trail braking down the backstretch here. Make sure that there's not a whole lot of gaps in between first and second place, and possibly protect the outside lane. So I give me both of them. Is that an acceptable answer? I always find a
Maybe
way to
if
give
you're
you
the-
two answers on these questions here. I don't know if
You
know
do.
that yet or not.
Yeah, you'll go left, right, up, down, inside out, and around town on me, but that's fine. Pace truck is off. We're getting ready to go back to this restart zone. It's Paxton Frith in control of the race. It's green, white, checkered attempt number 2 as the field bunches up and gets ready to hit that loud pedal one more time. Here we have it, and here we go. Great restart from the inside line.
Paxton Frith has a great restart, going to come up through the gears, 5 gears strong, little bit of daylight. This is what I was just talking about. Do not allow these drivers to open up the distance in between you and second place. Use that brake, even here, control that distance between second place as we have 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks over the speedway. Paxton Frith leads over Logan Spencer, currently runs in second. Logan knows he's got a championship on the line. Gary Miller says, my ticket to Phoenix is in 5 miles.
Certainly the case. Gary Miller is going to look to the outside. He commits in the 38. Jaden Wicks doesn't want to push anyone, tries to form a third line. It doesn't work because Gary Miller's going to cover it off, and now the momentum rests in the high side as we come off of turn number 4 and head through the tri-oval. Paxton Frith leading the inside line, Gary Miller leading the outside line, and across the line, white flag in the air. We're going to the end.
This has been the first time we've seen the outside lane formed up as tight as they are, but here comes Mike Miller with help from Aiden Shrine up on the third lane. Will we see 3 lines to the start-finish line?
May or may not be the case. Onto the backstretch we go. Gary Miller leading the outside line. He's got the momentum. Is he going to cut down? Oh, Paxton Frith up into Mike Schaefer, and those 2 cars go around. And now the only 2 cars who've made it through clean. Jaden Wicks, Gary Miller in the lead with the 97 closing in.
It's a 2-car breakaway up front, but Dustin McMurray not too far behind in third. Does Jaden Wicks have anything for the 38? Puts the side draft on the right quarter panel, and here comes the 9 through the tri-oval, put the 9 ahead, but here comes the 38 with help from the 87 at the line. It's going to be a photo finish. Who is it going to be?
Gonna need to take another look at that one. I think Jaden Wicks
shows Jaden Wicks, but oh my goodness, take a look at this photo finish here. You see Jaden packing the air up on a side draft on the side of that 38, and then the 97 comes along and helps the inside lane before he jumps up.
Here we go with our photo finish. Camera at the line, waiting for the leaders to come into frame. Jaden Wicks, just barely. Let's see if we can't rewind the tape just a little bit right here and catch a little glimpse of this. I'm not the best at the
that's pretty good.
The replay. tried to get a shot right there, didn't quite work out. But Jaden Wicks in a photo finish. It's going to be our winner in Talladega.
All right, well, while we wait for third place Dustin McMurray to make his way in here, we're watching Jaden Wicks do the celebratory burnouts out here. A non-playoff driver makes his way to victory lane out here tonight. Well, I'm going to grab second place here, and that is the 38 of Mr. Gary Miller. Gary, it's Tom and Arie up here in the CyberThunder booth. How are you tonight, sir?
No, we're good, sir. How are you?
We are doing okay. Man, you came so close. You had that wreck on the wreck on the backstretch there. What were you thinking when it was a 2 and maybe a 3-car breakaway when you guys came out of the other side of the smoke?
Yeah, I was hoping it would just be the 3 of us. And then, the 9's been a good pusher. And, I could have threw another block, but I figured I'd been sideways, so he had the position. I just hoped we could drag race it. He got me. He was able to side draft me and slow me down just enough. So.
Yeah, you had a great race out here tonight. You started 5th on the board, and now you set your sights on Martinsville to possibly become a championship contender for Phoenix in 2 weeks' time. How do you feel about your chances at Martinsville, and what's your path for that 38 to go to Phoenix?
Yeah, I was just going to have to be Martinsville or have to get the win. I think earlier this year when we ran the first time, I was 4th or 5th, so just got to get a couple more spots and get a lot of practice and see what we can do.
Well, Mr. Gary Miller,
definitely a shot. We got a shot for sure.
Hey,
I wish you luck at Martinsville at the paperclip next week, and hopefully you can get a couple of more spots and pick up from your finish in the spring. But Mr. Gary Miller, we're going to open up the floor for you. Anybody want to say your hays and highs to out here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network? The floor is all yours, sir.
I appreciate that. I just want to thank everybody that puts this all together, and all the admins. I know it's a frustrating administrative race, but St. Michael for getting me into this iRacing stuff. My wife's support, of course, but just the group of guys. Most of them we run really clean, and it's been a good group of guys to race with. It's very appreciated.
Well, so glad to get to call you in another podium finish out here this evening. It's oh so close, what could have been. But Gary, we will see you next week at Martinsville.
I'd rather y'all have a good day.
You
Appreciate
do
it.
as well, sir.
All right, and that is our second place finisher, Gary Miller, which brings us to the third place finisher, somebody who had a great run coming up to the line, had so much momentum, maybe just needed them to push that start finish line just that little bit back further down the line. Dustin, you had a very up and down race. There was a lot of issues in the middle of the race with blinking out and people, kind of pulling out of line, not really wanting to work with you too much. And I'm sure that had to be a difficult thing to kind of juggle, but through it all, you find yourself through the wreck on the last lap, and with that momentum, what more did you need?
Like you said, another 100 feet. I was rolling probably, 8 or 9 miles an hour faster. I just needed a little more time. Just came up a little short.
As it goes, sometimes as it goes, well, you come back here to Talladega, having proven yourself and shown yourself earlier on the super speedway tracks here in the Frigidiga Racing League, and had a great opportunity tonight to make it all happen. We've got 2 more races this season of Martinsville and Phoenix. Do you think we'll see that 97 car out on track in either of those 2 events?
The 97 will be on track. Tried to get Evans Beach back out here for Dega. Couldn't make it. 97 will be there the next 2 weeks, to be determined on my teammate.
All right, that's what we like to hear. Well, congratulations on a great run nonetheless, Dustin, yet again here in Talladega. I'll open up the floor to you to any hays, highs, thank yous that you want to give out to anyone out there.
Shout out Sheets Racing League. Shout out Beach for not being here tonight. Could use that help. I'm just joking. But no, good run. Glad to finish it strong. Good night.
All right, there we have it. There's our third place finisher, Dustin McMurray, and I do believe Tom's caught up with our race winner.
And I guess that brings us to our big winner out here tonight. Jaden Wicks came out here tonight, started second on the front row. You improve your finishing position by 1, and you take the black and white checkered flag. Jaden, Tom, and Arie up here in the booth. Good evening to you.
What's up?
Hey, we're doing all right. We just watched a crazy couple of overtime finishes. We watched you put the moves on Gary down at the end. He said, maybe I could have thrown one more block, but decided not to. But Jaden, you come out of here tonight as the race winner, a non-playoff driver coming into Talladega. You got eliminated at the end of last round, but now you've got your sights set on Martinsville and Phoenix, and your job is simple at those 2 tracks, and that's to go out there and get 2 more wins on the season. How you feeling?
Yeah, honestly, crazy one tonight. A lot of technical difficulties, so I'm first off sorry to you guys and sorry to anybody that was watching. It was just a mess there the first 2 stages. I don't know what happened, but I'm feeling great actually. I think this gives me momentum. Martinsville, not too excited about because we got our short track kings, Brad Holmes and Matthew Simple. So I'm pretty sure one of them will take it. Phoenix, I'm feeling pretty good about. Going to try to win it, but if I can help out one of them guys win a championship, I would do that definitely because they are my teammates and I've known them for a while.
Well, you come out of here tonight with the checkered flag, and we're taking a look now at the pass that you made on Gary Miller. Let's kind of run through the last lap there, right? So you cross the start finish line, backstretch, whole bunch of hubble bubble happens, and now it's you and Gary and Dustin not too far behind. Coming out of turn 4, did it ever cross your mind to just finish second and not bring the 97 into it and possibly finish third, or were you always going to go for the win?
My goal before finishing the season was to get at least one win. If I can, these next 2 races, get another one. But I wanted to finish the season off at least with one. Honestly, when we were coming out of going in the middle of 3 and 4, I saw them wrecking behind us, and I was going to jump out sooner in front of Gary, but I feel like it was just too soon. So once we got near the tri-oval, I knew that's where I had to make my move at. And I saw Dustin coming behind, so I knew he wasn't going to come behind me or Gary. He was going to take the high side, so I decided to jump up there when I saw him move up there, and it was close. The finish was very close. I didn't think I had it for a good few seconds, but I guess that little push he gave me near the end gave me the finish. But hats off to them too.
Well, you pulled a masterclass in side drafting coming through the start-finish line in the tri-oval there. Jaden, congratulations on your win out here tonight from Talladega. We're going to open up the floor for you, as we always do here on the CyberThunder broadcast booth. Allow you to say hello to anybody watching that number 9. I see a couple of your fans out there in our YouTube chat, so make sure you don't forget them.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my grandpa. I told him before the season ended I'm gonna get one, so I'd like to thank him. My smoking hot wife, who watches me every night, so hats off to her. My stepdad, my mom, my dad, and honestly everyone in the league, because we couldn't do it without these guys. So thank you to them, and then thank you to y'all too for coming out here broadcasting, even if it's a mess. So thank y'all so much.
We're thankful for the opportunity and glad to get to work with you and the drivers of the Frigadega Racing League. Jaden, I think there's a couple of bottles down there waiting for you, so gonna send you back down on there and let you go celebrate with your teammates and your friends. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Arie, I think tonight's race gave us a little bit of everything out here tonight.
I think, I don't know what the next word past everything is, but whatever that is, I think that's what we got tonight.
It certainly was. We saw some fuel strategy. We saw some cars running out of fuel. We saw some cars just saying, hey, I'm going to go. And then we saw some incident cautions as well, but saw a great battle for the race lead at the end. Jaden Wicks, by 9/1000ths of a second, takes the race win out here tonight from Talladega Superspeedway. Gary Miller comes home in second place. Dustin McMurray in third. Aiden Shrine in fourth, led a bunch of laps out here tonight, followed by Matt Semple, rounds out the top 5.
Just missing out of the top 5 is Paxton Frith, brings it home in 6th, driver the 21, ahead of Mike Schaefer in the 29. And that rounds out our lead lap drivers. We've got to go back to Logan Spencer in 8th, 1 lap down, ahead of Mike Miller in the 24. Rounding out the top 10, Mackenzie Clayton in his first start.
And drivers with a couple of issues out here this evening. Brad Holmes in the 0-0 finishes 3 laps down out here tonight in the Chevy Camaro of Mr. Holmes. And Christopher Pugliese, 9 laps down, rounds out our field of 12 drivers out here tonight from Talladega.
Well, I'll tell you what, 2 events to go here in the Frigadega Racing League for the 2025 season. Looking forward to seeing how it's all going to play out. A non-playoff driver spoils the party in Talladega, and that means there are still 3 spots out of 4 up for grabs as we head into Martinsville next week.
Well, find out who makes the championship 4 next week. What do you say, Arie? You want to do the same time, same place next week here on Wednesday night?
As long as you get me one of those infamous Martinsville hot dogs.
Oh, I could tell you about the Martinsville hot dogs. So all day, they're one of the best foods on the planet. I'll save you a few and I'll meet you down there.
Sounds good to me.
Have a good night. Hey, if you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, make sure you click that like button, get subscribed, get notified every single time we go live so you don't miss a lap of the action out here when we're live next week. From Martinsville, from the CyberThunder broadcast booth, for Arie Heinzman, for myself, thank you for hanging out with us on a Wednesday night. Have a good night.